talk to your friends.
Hey, good evening, everyone that's here, and welcome to another Monday Night Mystery, where we are going to match wits with the ever-impressive Sherlock Holmes, or at least the reimagined Sherlock Holmes by Space Cowboys, with the board game Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I am joined by two of my regular Baker Street irregulars, the amazing woman, who is not only an AP biology teacher, but also a professional Irish dance instructor. Hey, Liz. And the woman that I consider my greatest accomplishment is that moment I said, "Will you marry me?" And for whatever reason, she had a complete stroke and said yes. And that is my beautiful wife, Jenny. And then for her first time with us, we also have Sarah, who streams under the name That Math Teacher. Do you want to really quick say something about your stream?
Sure. I stream math. My goal is to make math more accessible for everyone. So I try to stream really not above like geometry or algebra level to make math kind of more accessible to everyone.
Cool. And you got me thinking I might actually start trying to do more of the educational stuff and the lesson planning side of things, because it's a lot of fun watching you try to put that together and keep it fair for middle schoolers.
Yeah, I do occasionally. That's true. I do occasionally make projects or something for my students. Yeah, I do that sometimes on stream. So
yeah. Yeah, we have the same kind of like, I have to figure out how to make this fun. I have to trick them into doing math. And so I'm part of tonight is we actually have all teachers on, from middle school all the way through college. So this is we are going to knock this out of the park. I think we're just going to read the first clue, and then we're probably going to make one quick stop, and then we'll have the case solved, and we can all call it a night.
I don't think that's how it works.
No, I didn't even write down our score from last week.
Why?
Because it didn't happen.
But it wasn't that bad.
It was that bad. I'm still mad at it.
kind of bad.
Well, you can be mad at it. I'm still mad that you have to go to a jeweler's instead of a watchmaker's to find out where a watch was made.
Right. I feel that it was unfair.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And now that we've completely convinced Sarah she should just suddenly have a tech issue and disappear, let's try to make sense of this particular case. So we start off, every case starts off with a location read out of the guidebook. We're going to discuss where we think we should investigate next. We have, as tools to decide that, we have a directory of London where we can look up a location. We also have the common locations on the other spreadsheet. And it's up on the stream. I forgot to send this over to Sarah, so I'm going to do that real fast. Copy link. And this is all the locations that are standard to London that we can go to as part of our investigations. So if we ever get stuck, we can go there. Hey, Uncle Bill, welcome for coming over tonight. I think we should be in better shape. Uncle Bill is one of the brilliant core minds behind the Knowledge Fellowship, an amazing group of educators and intellectuals that I am lucky I stumbled into back in last April-ish. And I've been hanging out with them since, and I swear, I don't want to overplay this, they kept me sane trying to teach in a pandemic, because there's just so many amazing people over there. So if you're in any way, shape involved in education, whisper Uncle Bill here, and he'll hook you up with the links to the Discord. It's great peeps. All right, we ready? Here we go.
Ready as a lover bee.
Yeah, no kidding. Hold on.
No watch involved, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
no watch.
A watch would be great, because we know you go to the jeweler to check out who made the watch. You don't go to a watchmaker.
Yep, and then we have to go to
The previous
the prison.
So
Go big prison. We have to talk to the social guy. And what else?
secretary, custodian.
And the cabbies.
And the cabbies. You're just in time here. We're kicking things off.
We're
Here we
ready.
go. Over here, Wiggins. Holmes's familiar voice comes to us from the shore of the Thames near Tower Bridge. Next to him is the unmistakable silhouette of Lestrade, accompanied by two policemen. Their attention is directed towards an oblong box, which is hard to see in the thick London fog. Join us, my friends. We quickly approach the little group, but only Holmes seems to notice our arrival. Once near the box, we finally understand what we're dealing with. a coffin, and opened, with a body. Examine the corpse, Wiggins, and give me a report, orders Holmes in a learned tone. Without a word, Wiggins begins his work. He pulls out a magnifying glass from his pocket, borrows one of the constable's lamps, and leans over the coffin. Holmes and Lestrade light a cigarette and observe Wiggins go over the coffin at length, lighting each corner before paying attention to the body. Wiggins lifts one of the body's hands and examines its nails. He then opens the deceased's left eye with his thumb and his index finger and shines the lamp into it. Then he does the same with the mouth. He then pauses the lantern over the body until he reaches the blood-covered chest. A wooden stake is stuck into the victim's heart. Wiggins' hand grazes the stake, but he immediately pulls it away as if he had burned himself. He finally looks at the bottom of the coffin. He reaches a hand in and pulls out a handful of dirt, which slips through his fingers to fall back into the bottom of the coffin. "Well, Wiggins, what do you have to tell us?" says Holmes as he finishes a cigarette. "I'd say the victim's been dead for 2 or 3 hours," answers Wiggins. "Good," agrees Holmes. "The cause of death is the stake in his heart." "A marlin spike," interrupts one of the policemen. "It's a tool used by sailors." "I'd say that the victim was unconscious when he was stabbed." "Excellent, Wiggins. That's also what I concluded." Holmes seems to be talking more to Lestrade than to his young protégé. "I don't see how that's important," grumbles Lestrade. "I don't know the importance of that detail, but it's a fact. And facts are the bricks with which we can build our reasoning." "Continue, Wiggins. Explain your deductions to Lestrade." "I examined his nails." "The nails, Lestrade. How many times have I told you about their importance? A man's nails tells us so many things about him. I could write a monograph on that topic." "Continue, Wiggins." "A death of that type is very painful, and even though it's fast, it isn't instantaneous. The victim would have struggled, would have tried to remove the stake from his chest, but there's no traces of blood on his hands, and even if they had been clean for one reason or another, there would have remained traces under his nails. It's, however, possible for a group of men to have held him down during the murder, but his jaw is relaxed, and there is no sign of biting on his tongue. A man struggling for his life stiffens his muscles, and in most cases will bite himself. The jaw would have remained rigid after death. Moreover, our victim has a wound at the back of his skull. He's a man in his 40s, I'd say. According to the labels, his shirt is from London, but his suit is from Bucharest, and his shoes are from Rome. That's all I can tell about the victim. I don't know why there's dirt in the coffin. Did I miss anything, Mr. Holmes?" "No, Wiggins, it was good work. Lestrade has a few pieces of information which could be of use to you." Holmes turns towards him, clearly letting him know that it's finally his turn to speak. "Very well." Lestrade pulls out a notepad from his pocket from which he begins to read. "Constable Willis answered the call from one of the residents around 7:30 this morning and found the coffin in this state, beached on the shore. No one else in the neighborhood noticed anything unusual. According to the papers found on the victim, it was Count d'Albert, a maritime agent." "A count?" asks Wiggins. "Yes, here's his card. Count d'Albert, D''Albrt.
Thank you.
No problem. Maritime agent, 23 Cheapside, London, EC. Sorry, 27. Wiggins is on the verge of handing the card back to Lestrade. Wait. "Keep it, Wiggins. He had a whole set on him. We don't need them anymore." "Have you found anything else?" asks Wiggins. "Only this loading bill, half stuck in the coffin." Lestrade hands Wiggins a crumpled and soggy piece of paper. "The information about the destination is missing. The paper has been too badly damaged by the water," remarks Wiggins. "The document attests that a coffin containing human remains was processed by customs yesterday. We can see the signature at the bottom, TF. The rest has been erased. 2 men in white frocks come to take the body away to the morgue for autopsy." Holmes leaves the circle of detectives and heads to the slippery slough of the Thames. Wiggins and Lestrade join Holmes, looking in the water of the river that has caught his attention. A disconcerting case, isn't it, Holmes? Says Lestrade, breaking the silence. Not really, Inspector. The day is quite advanced, but only one or two significant details still elude us. Let's hope we'll have learned more before night falls. What do you say, Wiggins? I don't know, Mr. Holmes. All this seems a bit sinister to me. Do you remember that book on vampires that came out last year? Dracula, by Mr. Stoker? Yes, I read it. You think we're dealing with vampires, Wiggins? Lestrade chokes. Vampires? You're completely bonkers. I don't have time to hunt down vampires. I, for one, have a murderer to catch. The yards inspector heads off with a determined step, shaking his head. Holmes and Wiggins share a look and then burst out laughing.
Awesome.
And thus it begins.
What's our newspaper date?
Today is the...
September 24th, 1898, the Pall Mall Gazette. And I missed mentioning one of them. We have 4 papers total to refer to. There's Thursday, September 13th, 1898, the Police News. Monday, September 19th, 1898, in the Times. And Friday, September 16th, 1898, the Pall Mall Gazette, Evening Edition.
Which I believe would be 8765. So paper journals 5 through 8 in the Google Drive.
I found them all.
Is there anything about vampires in the paper?
No, there's another body mentioned in the paper.
Oh?
A body disappeared in Bloomsbury. The police admit to being baffled by the disappearance of a supposed corpse at the home of Malcolm Baxter at 44 Woburn Place. At approximately 9 o'clock last evening, Mary Gifford, cook and housekeeper for Mr. Baxter for several years, ran out of the house screaming for help. Constable McSwan answered her summons and ascertained that she had discovered the body of her employer on the floor in his study, face down. She reported a great deal of blood on the back of his head and a bloody fireplace poker lying near the body. However, when she returned to the study accompanied by Constable McSwan, there was no sign of the body. Mr. Baxter has not been found. The fireplace poker is missing as well. Anyone with any information regarding Mr. Baxter's whereabouts should inform the police at Bow Street Station.
Interesting.
And I just want to point out that the back of this paper is blank because, as according to a note from the editor, due to strike action, only a part of the newspaper has been printed. There is a note on the back that says, "Bring back books to Lomax and buy a new razor, the gem, ? And 2 fingerprints."
Okay.
So there's that.
Where did the paper come from?
They've never really said how we get our hands physically on the paper.
I'm assuming it's delivered to Holmes's doorstep, maybe?
Well, Lomax...
But yeah, we don't know.
Lomax
we just have
is
access to the papers.
one of the
But
librarians,
yeah,
isn't he?
Lomax is one of our contacts.
Yeah.
Which one is he?
National Archives, I think.
London Library.
Ah, well, there you go.
That would be why he wants some books, or needs some books returned. Maybe those are Holmes's notes on the back.
Okay, well, we definitely have, among places we can head, we definitely have, let me see, we didn't start in Holmes's lounge. We started on the banks of the Thames.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have put this out to our crew.
There's a lot about economics in the paper today. Well, no, I guess not all like economics.
Potentially
There's
fitting.
Education, Immigration, and Prosperity, a report from the United States, which is a very long article. And then the development of the labor movement. And then an article about Serbia. Don't know anything.
Where was this? Was the Count from Romania?
We don't know,
don't-
but we
yeah.
know that his suit is from Bucharest. but his shoes are from Rome and his shirt is from London. He is well traveled.
There's an article about Romanian anarchists. Sorry, dyslexia right there. Romanian anarchists. There's an article in the paper, just in case that comes useful.
Good point.
Fought against the Romanian king.
All kinds of good stuff. Okay, so we have the Count's residence is one place we can head.
Yes.
Okay.
And we could visit our favorite medical examiner and criminologist, although the last couple times they've been very unhelpful because we've gotten there before the body somehow, or they've just not had anything.
Yeah, they weren't necessarily. Although this one feels like, I get the feeling because they made the sent off to the coroner, I feel like the coroner's going to give us something.
Remember they had that article in the paper that said that the body was being held at the funeral was on hold until the body was released from the coroner's office, and they're like, nope, we don't have him.
Oh, that's true.
I think that the first step I would like to make is to the customs office and look for this TF person.
TF guy.
I think that is our most sure bet to get some actual data.
Yeah, he might have more details on where the coffin came from. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's my vote.
I think that is
Seems
not
reasonable.
a bad idea. Customs office.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
And we should check every
That would be at the docks? I don't know.
Mm,
What would that be? Where would we go for the customs office?
well, I would guess the customs office, but
So do we have to look at the map to do that?
we will look at the directory,
Directory. Okay.
That's what I'm looking for.
which
Oh,
is...
there it is. Customs house.
Oh, there is a customs house.
There is a customs house. How nice. But we probably have to go to the jeweler.
Okay, here's another body found in the Thames yesterday, and this is from the Police Gazette. What day was this one?
That was
Tuesday, September 13th.
So that'd be a week ago.
There was a body where I lost it. Hang on. Body found fished out of the Thames by the police. After being notified by the watchman, the man was identified as Bobby Field, apparently suffered a head trauma. No further information available for the moment. Investigation set to begin Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock at the coroner's office.
There's a whole lot of head trauma going on.
Thamesford
That guy
Street.
had head trauma?
We solved that crime 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that was the one where there were bodies everywhere,
Yes.
isn't it?
And
There
that
were
was...
bodies and more bodies.
It's also the one where the clip was, how did you know he died? He was surprised when he died. And you went, he
Yes,
looked like
and it
this.
That's right.
'Cause
I
Okay,
remember.
so that's an old one.
That's
Yep.
an old one.
That's a solved crime,
Okay. Okay, then.
which is good.
But the disappearing body did have head trauma from a fireplace poker.
Yes. Yes.
So-
That's what I was like. Body in the river. Head trauma. I don't know. Okay.
Okay, wait.
All
Disappearing body.
That's from today's paper.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay.
The one that that disappeared between calling the cops and going into the house to look for him. It doesn't say that the blood disappeared, so I'm assuming the blood was still there.
Okay, so here's a fun twist.
Yeah.
We know that our John Doe, who we believe is
Mhm.
Count de Albert, was also struck in the back of the head.
Right.
Yes.
So maybe he's not the count. Maybe he's this random dude that was, you're supposed to think he's the count. The count is, I don't know what he's doing.
Mr. Baxter.
Mr.
Yeah, the body is Baxter. The
And the
count
count
is a friggin' anarchist running amok. In a,
A vampire anarchist.
well, no, that's a red herring. They
Maybe it was the count who did it, you know?
well, he's
and
an
then-
anarchist. He's trying to sow chaos by panicking people about vampires.
which is exactly what the vampires would want you to believe.
True.
That's right.
Maybe the Count did it and framed himself for dying so that he could get away with it.
Could be.
Could be. He's like, oh, no, I can't be a vampire because I'm dead. Oh, wait.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wait. What was the missing dead guy's name again? I'm sorry.
Baxter. It was
Malcolm Baxter.
Malcolm Baxter.
Was anything taken, or he just is randomly dead, and that was all we know?
We know the fireplace poker was taken or disappeared with the body, but other than that, it doesn't say. We would probably have to go there.
And when did he die?
9 o'clock last night.
Evening.
So the timeline actually.
No, because they thought that the body was dead 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
So that blows that out of the water.
Well, oh wait,
So
no.
to speak.
Or you could hit him over the head. She thinks he's dead. She's wrong.
He gets up and walks away.
Could have been unconscious.
He had a
Could have been unconscious for hours before they staked him.
Maybe that's why they staked him. He got up and started walking around with his blood all over the back of his head, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's a vampire! Kill him!" And then they brought out the torches and the pitchforks and the stakes.
Maybe they were kidnapping
spikes.
That would explain then why he didn't struggle, right? Because it said he didn't struggle. Didn't have any tense muscles.
Oh yeah, you're right.
There were no signs of struggle.
He was still woozy from the concussion. He didn't know what was happening. I don't know.
Okay.
The vampire still seems very viable, but okay. We're off to the customs house.
I think we are.
Do we have an address for the customs house?
19 EC.
19 EC.
Let me turn the page.
EC. Okay. So I still have the Count's residence as a location we should consider.
Yes, you might want to consider going to Baxter's house or to the house of his.
Okay.
Yeah.
At some point, but I don't know. We haven't connected those two for sure.
All right, I'll put it on the list of potential places to head next. As I continue to try to find ways to organize our notes visually.
There's no way to organize the chaos that is our notes.
No, not really. It's kind of a free for all.
We need to make a list of our suppositions, like vampire, question mark, reanimated corpse, question mark.
I hadn't thought about
Body
that.
switched, question mark.
The chaos of our method might be a little annoying to your math mind. It's perfectly fine with me. I'm a biologist.
If I really just want to show the chaos of our minds, I'll just put a picture of a bottle of Bushmills whiskey up here and call it a day. Kind of sums it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember the coffin. Brian Jennings came in yesterday from the office of Count d'Albert. Lord Peckham and the Count had asked for a special service to get the remains of his grandfather back into the country as quickly as possible.
Wait, whose grandfather?
It sounds like the Count's. So Brian Jennings is the
Office.
from the office. Lord Peckham and the Count had asked for special service to get the remains. Yes, I expedited the procedure at their request to process the cargo during the day, though Joe was much more relaxed. Who? Joseph Acree, d'Albert's old secretary. He resigned a few weeks ago. So let's see. We have the current secretary is Brian Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Peckham runs the customs office.
Oh, okay.
And now we have Joseph Acree is d'Albert's old secretary.
How do you spell his last name?
Acree, A-C-R-E-E. What can you tell us about that cargo? Here's the slip. The coffin was picked up from Nicopolis by the Helen of Troy, a ship from the Jardine. The ship left on September the 14th and arrived in London on the 21st. The receiving party is Lord Peckham, 84 St. George Street. Okay.
I'm sorry, when did it arrive?
Arrived on the 21st.
From where?
Nicopolis?
Yep.
Nicopolis?
Nicopolis or Nicopolis.
So it was picked up there, carried by the Helen of Troy, which is the Jardine line, shipping line.
Yep.
Left on the 14th, arrived on the 21st.
Made good time.
And was picked up by Lord Peckham, did you say?
The receiving party is Lord Peckham.
Okay.
Did you inspect it? Of course. I had opened once here. It only contained earth and bones. Gave me the chills. It must be unpleasant to root through a coffin, says Wiggins as he leaves. I looked to verify that the contents were in agreement with the shipping slip, and then went back to customs to finalize the paperwork.
Well, it contains more than bones now.
Indeed.
That would explain where the dirt came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Sure. Okay.
Dirt and bones sent along. Why were they sending a body
To
from
have him
there
buried here in England.
reinterred?
Yeah.
Why?
Family reunion?
They're gonna sit him up at the head of the table and
You know, let's be honest. The late 19th century had some freaky, weird death rituals.
true.
And they're nobles. They do weird things. Who knows?
There's reasons for that. They got tired of burying people alive accidentally.
There was one that had like a whole bell and wire system that a guy designed.
Mm-hmm.
So he could ring
that
the-
they
Yeah.
Ring the bell if
Just
he
in
woke up.
case you needed to ring
Yep.
for assistance.
Yeah, they put like strings on their fingers or there was something by their hands. So if they were alive in the coffin and it went up through and the bell was up on the top. And I
And the
cannot
rats
imagine
would
what it would be
look
like
in,
walking through a graveyard and hearing the bells ring. Just ugh.
Oh, goody. That's a lot of information. All
That
right.
is a lot of. I'm glad we went to the customs house. That was helpful, I think.
I think so. It makes me curious about the first secretary because it said he quit 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
Yes.
and
Oh,
the
wow.
body was shipped, and the body took a week because the 14th through the 21st. So he may have known about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he already
Right.
dealt with customs because they knew him and said, oh, he was a really easygoing guy.
Yeah.
And then he's been
Mhm.
replaced with this real, like, chop chop kind of fella. Sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I feel like we
my-
should go talk to him.
yeah, the old secretary.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, I agree. I feel really positive about this.
We should also keep Lord Peckham on our radar.
yeah.
Since he officially was the recipient of.
Yeah. To
It's-
find out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
where,
I feel like he's just I would want to see something else before I'd want to go talk to him.
Okay.
Because he's just doing his job. He received it. He didn't expect it.
yeah, but where did he put it? Like, did he leave it at the docks or did he take it
Oh.
somewhere?
So for how it disappeared.
Yeah. So how did it get from his possession or wherever he left it to the Thames?
That's not a lord's job. He checked it in. We need like a watchman or we need a PN. A cab,
Who we need a cabbie.
Cabby.
a seaman. Okay.
Okay.
Joseph Acree.
Go see what he has to say.
Yeah, we can go see what he has to say.
All right.
Agree.
All right. Taking a look at the commons, I think the coroner's office will have something for us, or the
Mhm.
criminologist might have something too.
Should we go there first?
I so let's keep running down the leads we have for now and see if we can start building.
Okay, save those guys for when
Yeah.
we get.
When we get stuck.
All right, Joseph
Have nowhere else to go.
Acree is at 47 EC.
47 EC. Okay.
Number 2.
47 EC. It's a thin book tonight.
That doesn't, well, either that means it's really easy or
Or it's not.
Or it's not.
it's not.
It's that classic look the kids get at the end of the period. Either I just aced that test or I failed it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yes, I've worked for Count d'Albert, Joseph Krieg confirms for us. Did you know that he has been murdered? Asks Wiggins. Yes, I'd heard about it, even though we weren't very close. And why did you leave your work? For the Count. I think the Count was happy with my work, but a bit too much even. I would practically take care of everything at the office. D'Albert would spend his time managing his political affairs. Finally, when I got a better offer, I jumped on the opportunity. Or rather, I thought it was a better offer. Meaning, a company in Bristol offered me twice my salary, but when I got there, no one had heard of me. A bad practical joke, I suppose. And d'Albert had already replaced me. What a pity, says Wiggins. I didn't make out too badly. I started a new job that pays well. To tell you the truth, I received a telegram from the Count yesterday asking me to meet him at the office tomorrow morning. I suppose he wanted to hire me again, but I don't know if I would have gone back. I guess in the end, I won't have to make that decision now. Do you know why d'Albert was at the warehouse so early in the morning? No, that seemed very strange to me. It might be due to his new secretary. They may have changed his habits. He would go from time to time to the customs office, but never to the warehouses or maritime companies. That was beneath his dignity. Did you know the Countess d'Albert? Asked Wiggins. I've met her. She'd come by from time to the office. She was there on the morning of my last day. I was embarrassed, as I left while they were in the middle of an argument. On what subject? Well, money, of course. Indeed.
Interesting.
So who wanted to get rid of his right-hand man?
The new guy? Or the Countess? Or somebody we don't know yet?
Well, somebody that wanted to kill him might have wanted to get rid of the right-hand man to force the Count to come to the docks. Right? He never did that himself, but if he doesn't have his assistant, he would have to come down there himself.
Good
That
point.
would be.
Yeah, so maybe whoever wanted to kill him. So we should go to the telegraph office and find out who actually sent that telegram.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's not skip the telegraph. We made that mistake.
We made that mistake.
So let's back up a second though. I'm getting, so we believe he was killed and stuffed in the coffin at the docks?
Maybe. We have to find out where the coffin was. Where the coffin went before it went in the river.
Okay.
I'm not even convinced that the body in the coffin is him at this point, honestly.
I'm with you on that one too. I feel like that whole, we found these cards on him.
A whole lot of them.
Wait a minute. And the
Maybe
packing slip, the coffin packing slip, whatever that is, was all soggy. Didn't say anything about the cards being all soggy.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, so
I
let's
mean, they
back.
could have just left it out or not. That's the problem. You just don't know with these things.
Good evening, Azteki. Welcome aboard. So going back, the loading bill was half stuck in the coffin, whereas his cards would have been inside his coat pocket. I think we might be underestimating the power of tweed. Just putting that thought out there.
I mean, the suit
So
was
you mean
made
only
where?
the outside of the coffin was wet. The inside of the coffin was not wet. It was just like floating like a boat, like Moses in a basket down the.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
assumed that they had been closed and that they opened it when they fished it out to see what was in it.
Maybe. Oh, and that the thing was like stuck in the lid or something,
Yeah.
or between the lid and the sides.
So literally, you mean like it was floating, and so water wasn't inside it. Kind of had to be, or when it sunk, and
Do
then when
coffins float? They're heavy. Aren't
But
they
if it sank, they wouldn't find it.
That's true.
Did it say what the coffin was made out of?
I'm going back and looking.
Okay.
I vote paper mache.
Because that'll tell us if it floated or not.
Very small rocks.
I'm serious, like I don't care what it's made of. A coffin full of dirt sinks. But this is pretend, so it can float if it wants to.
I mean, I feel like I have to Google this.
Well,
I mean, we make boats float, so, you know.
True.
Okay.
The Titanic floated before it sank.
It would have to be a hell of a big
really, really
coffin
big.
to displace enough water to float a big fat load of dirt.
Yes.
Yeah, but maybe, you know.
Just a little bit of dirt.
I mean, he's a count. He had a lot of money, you know. Maybe it was an expensive coffin.
It was a birch bark coffin.
Oh, there you go. That floats really well.
It was peat, not dirt, and therefore really lightweight.
okay. Well, moment of truth. Sketchpad tab.
Oh.
Google.
Apparently, according to Quora, a wooden coffin will always float even with a cadaver, which is neutrally buoyant, and water, no mud. With high flood, the soil at the bottom expands and pushes the topsoil that starts eroding until the coffin is able to heave up, float, and gets washed away. Oh, they're talking about coffins floating away when there's a flood. So apparently...
But not coffins full of dirt and bones. Okay.
How much dirt? Like, it says full of dirt, but how much dirt are we talking?
That is important. And they're not going to tell us, so we're just never going to know.
Oh, there's somebody who actually has a whole thing of math here.
What?
The relative density of soil is about 1.3, water equals 1. Relative density of a body is about 0.95 when lungs are filled. Relative density of a wooden structure is 0.8. Relative density of an airtight coffin is mass divided by volume. More math puts, he breaks it down to 750 pounds of buoyancy.
Yeah, because the amount of air that's in there versus the amount of like the dirt. Yeah, it makes sense.
All right.
Gosh.
I would also, while I'm live on air, remind the FBI that no, I do not intend to ever put any of this information to use. Please don't check my Google searches.
I don't know. I feel like that's a good math problem. On the test.
I should put that on one, right? Will this coffin float?
Yeah.
I love it.
If I was still teaching physical science, I super would do that.
I might just throw it up there because I need to have lesson plans for tomorrow because it's
I was just
testing
thinking,
day.
didn't you say you needed lesson plans for tomorrow? Now you have lesson plans.
Perfect.
I wish I had lesson plans. I get to stare at kids take the PSAT. It's the worst.
Oh,
thing.
I'm hall monitoring tomorrow, so
I would rather do that.
yeah.
It's my first day back with students tomorrow.
Oh, yay!
I'm so excited.
Okay.
That's awesome.
All right.
So let's recap where we are and make our plan forward. We found a body that we think is a vampire's in a coffin on the banks of the Thames. We said we think he's a vampire because someone had staked him after they hit him in the back of the head. The coffin.
And he had a coffin full of dirt.
And there was dirt in the coffin with him. That we found a shipping label from customs. We went to customs. They confirmed the coffin, and it had originally contained the Count's grandfather. And when it was arrived in London, it had bones and dirt in it, not a dead body. I mean, not a fresh...
Not a 2 to 3 hour dead body.
Right. Not a fleshy dead body, a skeletal dead body.
Yes.
That led us to the home of the ex-secretary, who had been called away to...
A new job
specifically, not just like a random new job though. He traveled for it. It was a new job in Bristol.
Oh, in Bristol.
Okay, so a bit of a hop. And it turned out it wasn't really a job. It was like a setup. And that made us wonder what was going on. We also confirmed that the Count, who we believe is the dead body because he had a business card on him, was the one that was in the coffin. He had been fighting with his wife about money. and has recently hired a new secretary and has had a change of schedules.
Could we check with the Countess to verify that that was his body? Could she tell us that?
I have their residence down as a place we can still go.
Yeah, I was thinking we might need to talk to her because maybe he faked his death to avoid his wife.
In which case, she would not know that.
That's true.
I would go with
Has she seen the body?
Coroner, telegram office, and Helen of Troy because he was killed with a sailing implement.
Ooh.
I like how Liz gets right down to okay, here are the places we should go next. Liz is driving the car.
First stop. The wife?
Give you options.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
open to other options.
I like the telegraph office, both to see if we can find out what was going on with why he was summoned to the scene of the crime. Because apparently there was a telegram. Let me double check this again.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe we could find out about that fake job offer. Might have come as a telegram.
That's the thing, yeah. There's like a 2-for-1 there.
Yeah.
The telegram to meet the Count at the office in the morning. The fact that he wasn't there, he was at the docks or the warehouse instead. And the telegram to go check out this new job. They all seem to like point at the telegraph office.
Yes, which is at 37 EC. I think that's a good place.
Okay, so that's over here in our common list. I'll mark that we went there. 37 EC. Wow, we're just driving all over East Central London here.
Not a good place to go?
Well, that's interesting.
Stop reading ahead.
All that we get from the telegraph office is, I haven't a recent telegram for Count D'Albert.
What?
That's all it has.
Okay, so the telegram. Wait, for him or from him?
For.
Can we not ask them anything else?
No,
that's all we get.
Unfortunately.
That was a dead end.
Right.
I'm going to pretend we didn't do that.
Are we allowed to do that?
They give us 2 clues pointing to the telegraph office, and then they give us nothing. That's really uncool.
And that's why I don't count it. It's like, no. There was too much evidence to say we should check that out, and then we got nothing.
All right.
Unless we find out later that was supposed to be like a major plot point. It's like, nah, I don't feel like that's a fair shake.
Yeah.
So that takes us back to the docks, to the Jardine Company. I don't think we can hit the Helen of Troy directly, but I know we can go to the shipping company.
The wife.
And then he had on his business cards, he also had a different address, didn't he?
I didn't write that
27
down.
EC. Oh, that's his offices, I bet, not his residence.
Probably.
Oh.
We could check those.
27 Cheapside.
Yes. We could go there. And that would probably get us to talk to the new secretary.
If he's still in town.
Among other things. Yeah, or find out that he's missing.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we want to go next? Do we want to talk to the wife, talk to the steamship company? Can we go to the docks in general? Yes, we can go to the docks, but do we know there's a bunch of docks?
How can we figure out if the coffin went somewhere else?
That would probably be, would that be Lord Peckham?
Oh yeah, like, well, no, because
Remember
Peckham
that?
said he didn't know, right? Like he looked at it and then that was it.
No, that was the.
Where did it go after Peckham looked at it?
Well, Peckham didn't look at it. That was the customs officer looked at it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Peckham is the one who signed for it or who received it.
Yes.
So he might know where it went after
Yeah.
it arrived. Maybe, yeah,
I feel like that would fill in some gaps if we knew if it went somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So what are we thinking?
Lord Peckham.
Lord Peckham.
Let's follow the coffin.
Follow the coffin. I'm good with that. Where does Lord Peckham make roost?
Is it Packham
P-E.
or Pe? Okay.
Peck. Peck ham.
Making sure, because there is a Peckham also.
Okay.
Pe. Lord Bosworth Peckham, 84 Southwest.
Okay, 84 Southwest. No.
Yes.
Okay. Grandfather's coffin? We're waiting its arrival in the next few days. Nothing bad has happened, I hope. Lord Peckham, his nose pointed and his face narrow, looks at us attentively. I'm sorry for the bad news, says Wiggins, but the coffin is in police custody as a piece of evidence in a murder case.
So it never got to Peckham.
Nope. A murder? Young man, explain yourself. The Count d'Albert was found murdered this morning in your grandfather's coffin. Murdered? Lord Peckham crosses himself quickly and sits down stunned. Ooh. Well, he's out of water, a Catholic. Peace to his soul. Can you explain us the steps you've taken to have your grandfather's remains brought back to England? We had long abandoned the idea of finding grandfather. He had been killed in Transylvania in 1848 during the Civil War, when we were contacted by a short mustachioed man, Abdul Muhammad, a former officer from the Ottoman Empire, who told us that he had found documents which would allow us to locate his tomb. After the usual sympathies, that man let us know that for a modest sum, he could take care of getting his remains back into the country. A sum which turned out to be £800. Of course, it is originally grandfather's money, so it's only fair that it was used by him one last time. So it's that Abdul Muhammad who took care to ship the coffin via the Helen of Troy. Yes, I was given to understand that he had booked a luxury cabin. A cabin? Oh, of course. I could have put my ancestor in the hold for his final crossing. Okay, legit, I don't think that's that weird. Like, I'm just going to put it out there.
Weird.
It's, yes. I mean, but it's not like it's
a luxury cabin?
But it's not like it's a seat on an airliner or something.
Okay.
I mean,
No, it's bigger.
It's
yes, but it's not like other people are sitting next to it. But at the same time, like I have some.
My first thought.
Oh, and you see people wheeling a coffin down the hallway? I mean,
I just want to know who was actually using the luxury cabin. They just got this other guy to pay for their nice passage. That's what I want.
Great question.
Because it's on the shipping dock.
So I'm crazy then to think that there's something to be said for not just having your grandfather down next to like 3 crates of silk and 4 pens of pigs.
No, I do agree with that.
Grandpa's not gonna
in the
know.
bill.
He doesn't know.
Wow.
Sorry. Hey, you're the one who always says, I say I don't want an open casket funeral, and you're like, well, you're dead. You don't get to have a say.
I do.
So
I'm just saying.
why would you disregard the wishes of the dead person to have an open casket funeral when they don't want it, but then on the other hand say, oh no, you should definitely ship them in a luxury cabin so that they can enjoy their trip.
Because the funeral is for the living.
But the travel to the
is for the living. He just felt weird
feel better.
with Grandpa down in the hold, so he paid to have Grandpa shipped in a cabin. Luxury might have been overkill. It's not like he's going to notice the difference in brass versus copper fittings.
Maybe he was mean to Grandpa in life. And
the hold.
Anyway, there's more. Did you know the Count d'Albert? Yes, he's a friend. I chose him for his familiarity with customs regulations, as they were a bit peculiar in this case. I was a bit anxious about not having had news, and I finally managed to reach him directly on the phone yesterday afternoon. He assured me that he was personally guaranteeing the proper delivery, and it would be made within 2 or 3 days' time, in order to deal with customs regulations. Thank you, says Wiggins as he starts walking to the door. And for grandfather, when will I be able to see him? I'm afraid you'll have to ask Inspector Lestrade at Scotland Yard, Wiggins advises him. Okay.
They didn't mention that there were bones in the coffin. Is Grandpa still even in there? Under the body?
I'm going to go with no.
Grandpa's feeding the fishes, I'm sorry to say.
Do fish eat bones?
I don't know.
What's the cat thing?
Some creatures do.
Okay, he's feeding the decomposers. I don't know. Feeds with the fishes.
Yeah.
All right, now what?
I'm double checking to see if there were any bones in the coffin.
I don't remember you saying that. You probably have to go to the...
There's dirt.
Or not the...
Criminologist. Probably need extra calcium. Yeah, I don't know. Do fish need calcium?
No, but...
Everybody needs calcium.
Zombie worms eat bones.
That would make sense.
Osidax. The deep sea worms. Osidax is Latin for bone eating. They are bone eating worms, or bone worms, zombie worms, or bone eating worms. They eat bones.
Zombie worms, totally going on my next test. Oh,
yes, they also eat collagen.
Okay.
I might just throw that
out
as
out of those AP Bio students.
Yeah, that sounds like a great true or false. Is there such thing as a zombie worm?
This is really cool. They don't have a mouth or a stomach. They digest the bones with specialized bacteria. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
Is that a wormhole?
Okay, so I'm understanding this right. Lord Peckham sent away for Grandpa.
Yes.
Via the
Mohammed.
Totally not made up name of Abdul Muhammad.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel inappropriate saying that sounds like John Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's totally a scam.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So he sent away for the remains, which, grand scheme of things, it makes him feel better. I'm a little bit like this is somewhat of a victimless crime. Mm-hmm. Grand scheme of things so far. So Peckham hires D'Albert to facilitate the shipping.
Yes. He's like, I don't know how all these custom things work. You do. Can you help me out? Can you manage it? And he said, sure, I can take care of all the paperwork and get Grandpa to you ASAP.
Except that his secretary has done it, so he really doesn't know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Romero needs to join the Zombie Worms bandwagon. We need a movie with them. Romero would do a good job with that, man. I'm on board with this.
Yes.
Okay, so the coffin comes in, the customs guy cracks it open, says, yep, that's a bunch of dead body stuff. Sends it over for holding, I guess, with D'Albert while they finish organizing what's going on.
Or they just put it in the dockside warehouse to wait for pickup.
Right.
I would assume, yeah.
So they ship it to the warehouse, and he hasn't had a chance to tell Peckham it's arrived and ready to be picked up yet.
Yeah, he still thinks it's 2 to 3 days away.
Yeah, so it's still...
So they made really good time.
It's still in customs.
Yeah.
I mean, not now, but it was.
It was waiting to be processed or whatever, because didn't they say they were waiting on paperwork or something?
Yes.
So does that mean we could maybe find some of that unfinished paperwork at their offices?
That would seem like the next logical place to investigate.
But do we actually care?
I feel like we need to know who is dealing with the coffin.
In the coffin.
Well, now seems like a reasonable time to put out our questions.
This is really early. We've only gotten 3 places.
You want? Okay.
No. You can.
No, I feel like we've had our first good roadblock. Like, now what? We can run down a few more first.
No, you can put the questions out. I don't care.
Okay.
Usually we've gone 4 or 5 places before we do that.
Well, you're right. Technically, we've only gone three,
We've
4.
only gone 3 places. 4?
Well,
Oh, I count the first place.
Still go to the coroner.
That doesn't count.
Okay.
Coroner and the countess would be good choices to
I
go.
think those are good places to look
Okay.
before we count ourselves stymied.
To the coroner's office?
Yeah.
To the coroner's office.
Sounds good.
Ta-da!
We'll head further across East Central London to 38. Is it 38?
All right. Anyway,
Jen, can you confirm? Never mind.
sorry. I had an Animal Crossing question.
Oh, those are pressing questions.
No, well, from the teenager.
Oh.
I was being
Animal Crossing.
interrogated as to whether or not I invited a certain character onto the island, and I did not.
Oh, Kaylee did that probably because she was mad that Xander invited somebody on the island without talking to her.
Who did you invite? He didn't.
Oh. Well, he should talk to his sister because she's convinced he did.
I like your broadcasting, bud. Thank you. What am I looking at?
Never mind, I got it. The
She
lifeless.
just moved in on her own?
Apparently.
How? I didn't think they could do that. Sorry.
I have a lifeless body to talk about here. Are we all good?
Yes.
The lifeless body of Count Albert lies on one of the marble tables of the morgue in St. Bart's basement. Meeks is washing his hands in one of the large sinks attached to the wall. Nothing surprising in this case, Wiggins. Death was caused by a violent trauma to the heart, as we would expect when a stake is deeply embedded in it. He was knocked out before being killed. There's a wound at the back of his head. Moreover, the victim shows no sign of struggle. A horrible death.
All I have to say.
That's it.
That didn't help us at all.
Nope.
No, we already knew all of that.
Yeah, that was probably
Weeks.
Meeks let us down that time.
Yeah.
But he is confirming that it's the count.
Yes.
Okay, so we know for sure that the body is who we think it is, at least.
Maybe.
Yes.
Or
So
at least the coroner thinks it is.
to the
Yeah.
offices?
Would we assume that the body has been identified?
I would at this point. Excuse me,
I
at this
think so.
point. I think if we find out that this is really like the body of his secretary, I'm gonna play another that's just dirty pool on y'all. Unless something weird comes up in the next few stops. We've had that happen. We're like, let's make one more stop to wrap this case up, and we go there and we're like, oh crap, we know nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
There's all the information is all
Yeah.
in a spot.
Yeah.
So what else? Countess or
Offices or
which offices?
Dalbert's offices.
Albert's office? Yeah, I like that.
Dal-
We might
Albert's
be able to talk
office.
to the new secretary.
I
Or
feel like the
shipping-
countess is like too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
No, DiNozzo would say it's always the wife.
What's good? Is she going to admit it?
Well, yeah, there's that.
Are we gonna get anything from her? I don't know.
He
I
always
don't know,
asked
does she
anyways.
know?
I agree. Let's try the office first.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
To the office. Here we go. My name is Bert Farrows. Bert, B-E-R-T, Farrows, F-A-R-R-O-W-S. Or Farrows. Farrows. I've worked for this company for 3 years now. Mr. Farrows is a robust man of roughly 5 feet 9 inches. His death is a blow to me, especially since business isn't booming at the moment. When was the last time you saw Count Dalbert? Last night. He had come by to make sure that the delivery for Lord Peckham was proceeding normally. I assured him. Jennings, his private secretary, spent the entire afternoon at the customs office and at Jardines to make sure that deliveries from the east were in order. He really was quite efficient. Can we talk to him? I haven't seen him today so far. He must be quite busy considering the circumstances. He's probably with the Countess. Why did the Count put such importance on this specific delivery? He wanted to take care of Lord Peckham's coffin personally. Lord Peckham is a prestigious client for our company and a friend of the Count. He had the remains of his grandfather, who died in Hungary over 50 years ago, brought back to this country to have him buried here. Do you know who could have killed him? No. The Count is a refugee. He would never stop talking about his country and his return. I suppose that when you dabble in politics, you don't only make friends.
What was he smuggling in the coffin?
More refugees. What was the?
It's the anarchists, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was that article you saw about? Maybe it's
no. If it wasn't
Romanian king.
There was an anarchist in the coffin in the luxury suite, and then they would get out of the coffin, hang out in the suite, and that's how they crossed the ocean. And then they got back in the coffin, and then Lord or Count, whatever, had to let him out of the coffin. Only, I don't know. Now I'm lost. The reliable secretary was supposed to let the guy out of the coffin, but then he wasn't there, so the Count had to do it because the new guy doesn't know anything.
Well, there's a couple.
Really making stuff up now.
There's a whole bunch of stuff out of Hungary and Austria and Romania from the Times on the 19th of September.
Which would have been...
They were... Your thing about anarchists, it says, Budapest on September 18th, the governor has resolved to expel all anarchists who are not citizens of Budapest. Yesterday, 4 anarchist workers not from the city were turned over to the authorities to be transferred back to their native parishes. Let's see, and then there's... That's Austria-Hungary. And there we go. The plot against the Romanian king. A man was arrested in Orsova, suspected of being part of a plot to assassinate King Charles of Romania. The Orsova police have been warned about the suspicious behavior of the man, and during his arrest, a dagger, a vial of poison, and many more weapons were found on him. His passport, while probably false, is under the name of Milos Dimitrovics. Maybe they're smuggling him out of the country.
I don't know.
Okay, so the secretary is missing.
Yes. Well, he's probably with the Countess.
Yeah.
With the Countess.
So I feel like that's our next stop.
Leading us there.
So.
Yes. To find out why, what he was doing all that time down at Customs and Jardines.
I'm liking the idea that somebody may have smuggled something and dressed it up to look like bones. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, this whole timeline matches with, I'm going to get the secretary out of there, put my guy in, tell Lord Peckham, hey, found Grandpa, you want him back? Okay, cool. Let's ship this all through here, and we'll use this guy. Obviously, he's going to go to the Count to handle it, whose new secretary is my inside guy.
Right.
And
then the Count shows up unexpectedly, so you have to kill him.
You have to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Yeah, because he looked in the coffin and saw that it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Or there was other stuff in the coffin that wasn't supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that the customs guy, the customs guy was lying about what was in there?
I don't think so.
When did he look? Because when he looked, it might have already had whatever the important thing was. No, that doesn't work.
But it might have been buried in the dirt. Was he really going to go digging through the remains of somebody's grandpa looking for
they just
things?
Scatter a few bones on the surface, and yeah, that's probably true.
Yep, his exact words were, "It only contained earth and bones, gave me chills." Wiggins says it must be unpleasant to root through a coffin. He responds, "I looked to verify the contents were in agreement with the shipping slip, then went back to customs to finalize the paperwork." That sounds a lot like, yep.
Peek and shriek.
Which also really goes, the fact that they went into that much detail about it goes really well for something being buried under them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Which then gets us back to, should we go to the... We don't know where... We'd have to go to Jardine to find out where the warehouse was. Be my guess.
Yeah.
To track it from there. Or do we go knock up the Countess to see what she has to say about all of this?
I think we should talk to the Countess.
And maybe
But
the other
also
guy.
Maybe the secretary.
Yeah.
I think the Count was a victim, though.
Yeah, I think
That means
maybe
the
his
Count...
wife was smuggling something.
Oh, because she wanted money.
Why is the secretary with the wife?
Why are they together?
That's a good question. Okay, yeah, now I'm on
Makes
board
me
with the wife
suspicious.
idea now.
Okay. Where do they find our... Where shall we find her?
Let's see. Down there. Wait, doesn't it? Oh, there it is. 60 Northwest.
60 Northwest. Okay, here we go. 60 Northwest. Now, usually this is the moment where we learn like 9 things that we
Or
completely had not thought of, and we start over again. That's what this feels like. Okay,
Oh.
60
Yeah.
Northwest. While the house of Count d'Albert doesn't look like what our idea of an aristocrat's house should look like, his wife is a very picture of it. She meets us in the poorly decorated living room, full of the princely grace which marks the people of noble blood. With her diaphanous skin, only her reddened eyes betray the loss she suffered. You are here about the death of my husband? The Countess has a marked German accent in her voice. Yes, madam, answers Wiggins as he bows. Sit down. We follow the Countess's example and take our places on the seats. I understand that it's difficult for you, but do you know who would want to harm your husband? Joel? Excuse me. No. He had many enemies. My husband fought for his people. It's his struggle which led to our exile. But my husband dreamed of the day when he could return to our country. Against whom was he fighting? He didn't share that part of his life with me. All that I can say is that he'd spend all of his energy working for our return. What can you tell us about his work? My husband wasn't a businessman, as you can see, she says, making a wide gesture with her arm. He didn't earn much money. He'd make his income through his friends and his political allies. Since our arrival in London, I don't know much about my husband's life. Did he say where he was going this morning? He just said that he had to check something. He left before dawn, which is not his habit. I suppose it had to do with his work. He had been falling increasingly behind since his former secretary resigned. What was the name of that former secretary? Joseph Acree. He was a good man. I don't know why he left all of a sudden, but that really bothered my husband. It seems clear that the Countess d'Albert is not really aware of her husband's business. She pours herself a garnet-colored cocktail and shares with us a few platitudes. Then Wiggins thanks her, and we leave, having never met the secretary.
Ah.
So,
So the secretary has absconded with whatever was smuggled.
yes.
And we don't know where we can find that secretary.
Nope.
Right.
We are going to have to find it, whatever it is, via other means. So, to the shipyard? Or the criminologist? Or not the criminologist. Yeah, the criminologist?
That might not be a terrible point of investigation.
Or now we can look at the questions.
Now,
Now we
I
can
don't know
look
what
at
to
the
do next.
Or Millbank Prison.
When in doubt, that does seem to be the place to go. I don't think we're going to get anything going to see the... Well... Okay. To see the... Well... Okay.
Shipping company would be another option. Did we go there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, we went to the
No,
customs.
we went
With the
to
customs.
The shipping company.
Oh, yes.
That would be Jardines.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. We did. We went to his company. We went to the customs office.
Mm-hmm.
We have not checked out the Jardine company yet.
No.
I think that's all I've got left on my list.
I'm actually thinking, I wonder if. See, I keep thinking that all this reference to him going back again makes me wonder if this isn't a wrong place, wrong time.
Well, you think he was in on it with his new secretary?
No, but I wonder if it was a hit on him.
Oh.
And the coffin.
He was just set up, really.
Yeah, the coffin that we've been chasing was just an opportunity piece.
Could be.
Maybe.
They get his secretary out of the way. They bring in a new secretary who we have no idea what happened to.
Right.
Well, of course, we haven't checked his house yet. We might find clues there.
Also, what about the Abdul Muhammad? Can we follow that lead? I know it sounds like a fake name, but.
Let's see.
And well, if we follow that lead, we'd have to be. We'd have to be. It sounds like he is the person that is in the east. He's over in wherever the shipping came from.
You're right.
Yeah.
He
So
doesn't sound like a Londoner.
with it. Yeah. But Jennings, we could. Wait, is it? Yeah, it's Jennings. Is the
Brian Jennings.
Yes, we can visit him.
What's his address while you have it in front of you?
8 Northwest.
Okay.
Sure.
So we have that. We also have the Jardine company we can check out. But I'm starting to come around to this idea that maybe he got whacked because of previous sympathies, and this whole thing was just a plot to get him out of position and get him into a spot where they could blame it on a million other possibilities.
Yep. But that Jennings character definitely has to be in on it.
Mm-hmm.
The shipping company does not have to be in on it.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
It's just provide the transportation. So I guess if we can look up Jennings, I would think that one.
There.
He
Chase
seems
this
to have
guy
avoided
down.
us so far.
Right? Which makes me suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's a dead end and we're just never going to find Jennings, in which case, whatever.
True.
But at least then we'll know.
Yeah, then we can stop looking at him. We'll go, well, yeah, that's a dead end. He's flown the coop.
That is true. So what's the consensus?
I think we're going to see Brian Jennings.
Okay, give me 10 seconds
Or
here.
look for him anyway.
There's what I want. Okay, cool. All right. So Jennings, 8 Northwest, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's Southwest. Oh. Well, that's a bit of a dead end as well.
Dang it.
Here's what we get from visiting Mr. Jennings' estate. You are now at 8 Charlotte. It's 8 Northwest, right?
That's what it said. Let me double check.
Okay. We're now at 8 Charlotte Street, facing a dark and dilapidated house. The window panes, while in good condition, are covered by a thick layer of dust. Some bats have nested under the roof. 2 wooden planks bar the main door's entrance, and no one answers when we knock.
Yep, 8 Northwest.
So that's suspicious. That means that he probably never actually lived in that location and gave a fake address.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so he's
Charlotte's
definitely
house.
suspect, I think.
Yep.
So we just have to figure out how to tie him to the murder, because he did it. He's our guy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is such a dead end.
Okay, so we're an hour 20 in. Now is a good time to break out the questions.
Yes.
Which I always feel weird. I feel like, the teacher in me goes, we should start with the objectives. What are we being assessed on? But I always get nervous that it will also, because the minute you write the learning targets on the board, anything that's not tied to that target, the kids are going to go, we're done. Is this going to be on the test? Well, no, but you should. And then everyone tunes out.
I just say yes every freaking time.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. It might be.
Everything's on the test. It's all on there.
My preferred reaction to that was I wasn't going to put it on the test, but I sure as hell am now. I thought you said this would be really hard to write a test question for. Oh, I have time.
I'll find a way.
I have the internet. I'll find something.
I'm not saying it's going to be a good test question, but it's going to be on there.
Okay. Who killed the Count d'Albert? How was that murder planned? And what did the coffin contain? Those are our 3 key questions. Now, we get extra credit if we can answer these. What is the Countess's secret? Where is General Sizlagi? Who shot the general?
What?
And where are the remains of Lord Peckham's grandfather?
Jeez.
So,
We are missing a lot.
now remember, the extra credit are ones that we either find by just kind of poking around some of the other clues or by following good leads that still lead to dead ends. It's a general way you get the extra credit.
I bet we'll find out about the general if we go to the criminologist, because he almost always has an extra case.
Okay, shall we go over there?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think so.
I like visiting the criminologist. He's kind of fun.
If we go with Jennings as the killer and how it was planned, we have a lot of that. The whole, get the secretary out of the way, get Jennings in there,
Yeah, it all works out really neatly. That we don't have
and
a motive.
something was smuggled, but we just don't know what yet.
I'm actually thinking nothing got smuggled.
Oh, okay.
My money's coming around to this was a hit on D'Albert. And
Well, then why does it say what? Okay, I guess what it contained was bones.
the remains of the grandfather
Okay.
is what I would say. But we'll let it play out. The criminologist is at 22 Southwest.
Yes.
22 Southwest. Oh, hey, Cootie, welcome aboard. Glad to have you hanging out. You're just in time. We're checking in with the criminologist on the current case we're on, and then I'll bring everybody up to speed with a quick recap of our progress so far to see if that helps jog anything that we may or may not have thought about. Murray, we have a concern perhaps that we are imbibing too much of our after-school snacks.
Is that possible?
Nope. Nope. The case, we get smarter the more we drink. We think.
Sorry.
Murray is busy around a long table. On a black tablecloth, bones are spread out, starting to form a human skeleton. He pulls out a skull from a box placed on the counter and removes dust from it using a small brush. He then examines the skull with the help of a magnifying glass. After a few moments, he places it on the table at the top of the skeleton. He takes a step back to better appreciate his work. What is it, or rather, who is it, should I say, asks Wiggins, as we gather around the table. These are the remains found in the earth of the coffin containing the body of Count d'Albert. What can you tell us about these bones, Doctor? Not much. These are the bones of a woman 30 years of age. She'd had at least one child. Murray examines the jaw. I'd say she was weaving baskets and that she died from a fall or head trauma. She died over 200 years ago.
The bones are still back in the old country.
Looking that way. What else? Nothing special. The coffin was new. I have nothing to add to Meek's autopsy. Wiggins goes around the table, his gaze still fixed on the bones. He stops near the box and pulls out a handful of earth from it. What about all of this earth? I was wondering the same thing, says Murray. It would have been more logical to remove the bones before putting them in the coffin. It's as though someone dug up a grave and just piled all of it, bones and earth, into the coffin, which is not a Christian thing to do.
Okay.
That's all Murray's got for us.
So nothing about the general. I was wrong.
One thing about the general, we do have confirmed, though, that these definitely were not the remains.
Right. It was a scam.
It was a scam.
So wait, so we have the question of where are the remains of the grandfather? We can answer that one. They're probably, no, we don't know. They're still back in the home country.
They're still back over in, where was this? Okay, where have we been that we can remember what country it is? We should remember what country this is. It's come up like 4 times. Beckham was 84 Southwest. He mentioned it, right?
Transylvania.
Was it Transylvania?
I think so. Well, he was maybe?
Dude was killed in Transylvania.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay.
1848 Civil War.
Found him.
Although, wait. Abdul Muhammad must be in town. Because how else would Peckham know that he was a short, mustachioed man?
Oh. Well,
Maybe he traveled with the body, and there would be a record of him.
Well, he might keep a house here in order to scam people. Like, he's the front man.
Name.
Oh, no, so it's, yeah.
Mohammed. Is it Moha or
No, I'm mispronouncing it. It's Mahmoud.
Oh, Mahmoud. Okay.
Mahmoud.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds less like an alias then. That's good.
Yeah. So he might be a contact point.
Yeah.
Is there a way to get a hold of him?
I think Jen's looking.
He does not have a house.
Which says we're back to our next most likely lead, having exhausted all the ones we've picked up so far.
He might be at a hotel.
I don't like playing pick the hotel.
But yeah, we'd have to get a clue, I think.
Criminologist?
We just talked to him.
That's where we were. Yeah, because there's like
that's who that
15
was.
hotels.
Oh, I even wrote that down.
Maybe
Your
if
friend
there-
I should stop with the snack.
maybe do they have to register a destination when they come in from on a shipping line or something like that? Would it be? Probably not.
Maybe. I'm just thinking about where we've been. And
Is the Helen of Troy still in dock? At one point, we did go to a ship and talk to the people on the ship.
as we go through I think we have to go through the
I
shipping
think we have
company.
to go through the shipping company. Let's go to the shipping company.
Go there then.
We have open questions that may be answered there.
Okay, to this.
The Jardines.
Good steps walking around the luxury cabin with the coffin.
15 EC.
And thank you for adding this over onto to your stream, Sarah. We'll see if
Oh,
anybody.
good. He did that. Okay.
Yep. We just got the alert just went live.
I didn't think about that. The mod got that. Good job.
Yay, mods! So cool. Okay, Jardine Company is where?
Oh.
Absolutely a math teacher party. Eric, welcome aboard. We're gonna go.
Is, 15 EC.
15 EC. Okay. We pop into 15 EC and discover. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see, 15 EC. Okay, good. Here we go. The Helen of Troy arrived the day before yesterday. Its transport the coffin contained the remains of Lord Peckham's grandfather. It's our night watchman, Frank Tatum, who signed the release log early this morning. The employee from Jardine, Matheson & Co. tells us. A most peculiar cargo, isn't it? Says Wiggins with a small chuckle. Well, to be honest, technically it isn't cargo, a voice says from behind us. We turn around to face a tall and slim man wearing a captain's uniform. You see, the coffin and its resident traveled in first class. His grandson insisted on it. See, again, this is about what the grandson needed. I don't think it's that weird. I'm the captain of the Helen of Troy. He extends his hand to Wiggins. Captain Jordan. Wiggins. Henry Wiggins, says Wiggins as he greets the captain. You're from the police? No, we're private investigators. Same breed, says Jordan. Wiggins ignores that barb and pulls out his nicest smile. The police are the same everywhere in the world, continues Jordan. You say that he traveled in first class, asks Wiggins, trying to lead Jordan onto the topic of interest to us. Yes, heck of a story. I've transported passengers so boring they may as well have been dead before. But it's the first time a corpse got such service. I'm surprised they didn't demand that meals be served to him. You mean that the coffin had its own cabin? Exactly. There's no way the upper crust gets the hold. That didn't bother the other passengers? We didn't have many, truth be told. There was only a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Stone. They remained very discreet. They seemed to be more worried about a possible storm than our strange travel companion. Did anything unusual happen during the voyage? No. It was a simple trip with no incidents. Just the way I like them.
Okay.
Still not helpful.
Well, now
Frank Tatum.
Yeah, I was going to say, you say
Yeah.
that, but there's also Frank Tatum,
Yeah, we got a new name.
who signed the log. I don't think Captain Jordan is much of a lead
No.
at this point.
But Frank Tatum, and then what about the other two passengers that were on there?
Mr.
They have
and
been
Mrs.
sent
Sto-
along to make sure that everything went well.
That's what I'm wondering.
Maybe.
I like the idea of checking in with Frank Tatum, though. If he signed the log, he might know something.
Yeah. Well, the Stones.
Who did he release it to?
Right. Exactly. Well, is that where it got released then to the people at Customs? The guy who looked at it at Customs? Did he release it to him?
I don't know, but I think we should find out.
Yes. Yeah, the Stones must be staying at a hotel, or we can't talk to them because they are not listed in the directory.
Yeah, and we're not getting a lot of leads for hotels.
Tatum. Is it Tatum? Or is it
Tatum.
Tatum?
There is a Frank Tatum, 59 Southeast.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Okay. So we found the body in a coffin with business cards on it, which we traced back to the head of a shipping agent.
Yes.
At his offices, we confirmed that his new assistant is nowhere to be found. When we talked to the customs office, we found he's just recently changed secretaries. The old secretary, who we talked to, got offered a job out of town, ran out to investigate the job and take it, found out it wasn't really a job. So somebody lied to him to get him out of town so that he was away for a block of time. We checked in with Lord Peckham, who had contracted with Mr. Mahmoud to have his grandfather shipped over from Transylvania. He wasn't expecting the body for a couple of days still because it's still wrapped up in shipping. We talked to the Count's wife, who thinks she should have a lot of money, but she doesn't. And she let slip that her husband was very politically connected and involved in all kinds of things. What have I missed in my recap?
The bones were not the Count.
The bones were a 30-year-old woman.
Or his grandfather.
Yep. The bones were a woman that died 200 years ago.
Yep.
In her 30s, probably a basket weaver.
And also had at least one child.
Yes.
Okay. So the scam. The secretary was gotten out of the way.
Yep. And we checked the new secretary's home, and it's abandoned and has been for months.
Yeah.
Sound right?
That sounds about right.
Excellent.
Okay.
So
Let's find Frank Tatum.
let's talk to Frank.
Okay. I'm feeling like I'm a little hesitant on this because I feel like we're chasing the coffin, and we need to be chasing who had motive to kill. Assuming it was I'm still assuming it's a hit.
What? So didn't we have somewhere where it talked about Nicopolis? I just found that in one of the newspapers. So what did we talk about Nicopolis for?
That's where the coffin shipped out of. What did you find?
That's a new shipping office. So it's in the September 16th paper. There's a new shipping office in Greece, and that's the new office in Nicopolis.
Oh.
That would.
So I don't know if that's important, but it's a brand new office.
Okay, I'm looking. Oh yeah, Jesus, right there, new shipping office.
Mm-hmm.
Jardim has announced the opening new office, western coast of Greece, reduced travel time, profits are expected, conveying goods and passage, open to the public. Not a lot to go on there.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk to Mycroft, since he does a lot of political things?
I was wondering that
Be good.
as a stab, just to see what he has to say.
Multiple people have talked about the Count's political.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be a good idea.
I'd like to let humor me. Let's hit Mycroft, and if this doesn't get us anything, let's go check out the Night Watchman, whose name was conveniently dropped first and last, which also feels a bit like a, hey, if you want to keep running, this is where you should head.
Right.
Yep. Okay, so Mycroft
is at 8 Southwest.
Yep.
Okay. Mycroft heads to the large map of the world covering the wall of the visitor's room. The politics of the Balkans will lead many men to their doom, believe me. If Dalbert has been killed by his political enemies, it's only a start. His main opponent, General Sizalgi, is at this very moment in London. He is staying at the Cosmopolitan. But if I were you, I'd avoid suggesting anything without proof. He's a powerful man. Mycroft points at Central Europe with his finger. See these lands, Wiggins? They are pinned between Russia to the east and Germany to the west. They can be sacrificed, and both of the empires know it. Mycroft lets his gaze wander on the map, following a path known to himself alone. Wiggins intervenes out of fear that he could lose himself further in his thoughts. And what is D'Albert's role in all this? You should study a bit more, young man. D'Albert was only a pawn, but one supported by Russia. They were hoping to propel D'Albert to power in order to clear a path to the heart of Austria-Hungary and thus divide that empire. Why did the Count D'Albert find refuge in London and not Russia? Too simple. Too obvious. Mycroft tells us as if the answer was obvious in of itself. Despite having been chased out of his native Carpathians, in his eyes, no one could afford to know that he was under the pay of the Russians. D'Albert was still counting on a hypothetical triumphant return, a hope that few shared.
Hey.
There's motive.
So, we could, if we want to keep running this line of questions, whisk ourselves to the Cosmopolitan and see what interesting things we find there.
Yes, let's.
I think
We don't have to worry about offending him, since it sounds like
He did.
he did.
We just don't know that yet, right?
We don't know that yet, but we do. But we
You're
don't.
sneaking snacks.
If they're both dead, then somebody had it out for both of them, right?
Yeah, so he and his
Or revenge. Someone found the general dead, and then they assumed Albert was behind it, and they went and they murdered him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to find out. Where's the Cosmopolitan?
Oh, sorry. 10 Southwest, I believe.
10 Southwest. No, it's not.
71 Southwest.
71 Southwest. Okay.
Wait, isn't one of the questions the general's location?
An extra credit question was, where
Shot
is
the
he?
general?
So he might not be dead.
He may or may not. Oh, maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's just shot.
Maybe he'll go for a walk later.
But it doesn't. I mean, maybe we're just looking for his body. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, his body's not at the
Let's go
morgue.
find out. We'll check out the Cosmopolitan. We'll find out.
De Albert, if I could get my hands on him. The general brings down his crop with considerable strength on the little table upon which the tea platter was resting. The strength of the blow shakes the cups, which almost come crashing to the ground. The general seems to give no notice of their fate. He and his band are responsible for the attempt on my life, he continues in a confident tone. The Count was murdered this morning, Wiggins informs him. Murdered? Albert? It's not a smile that breaks out on the general's face, but it's pretty close. I didn't know, but I can't say I'm sorry to hear it. Do you know who would have wanted him dead? Other than me, you mean? D'Albert no longer has any power. He's let history pass him by, or I should say, he never became a part of it. A wide smile brightens the general's lined face. He's a well-built man whose military decorations seem to give him credit to his rank. He's in his 50s, but with the physique of a man half his age. I don't know to what degree you're familiar with the politics of the Balkans, Mr. Wiggins, but today's enemy can be tomorrow's ally. Before D'Albert led a rebellion against the emperor, we were allies against those who agitated for independence. D'Albert was a Saxon, a German, while I am Magyar. I see with your expression, Wiggins, you don't have all the keys to understand. Before General Silvagi has enough time to finish his sentence, the suite's main window explodes. A vase located on the other side of the room shatters in 1,000 pieces. Hit the ground! Shouts the general. Someone is shooting at us. We follow the general's lead and throw ourselves to the ground. We hear 2 more bullets lodge themselves in the wall. Minutes go by without a new shot being heard. Wiggins crawls to the window and throws a glance outside. The shots must have come from the building on the other side of the road, but I don't see anyone. Let's not take any chances. Follow me, orders the general. We all crawl together into the hall where we can finally stand back up on our shaky legs. Well then, Mr. Wiggins, I suppose that I can't blame these shots on D'Albert. Could it be revenge for the Count's death? No, I had nothing to do with his death. As I said, the politics in the Balkans are complicated. We could very well have common enemies.
It's the anarchists.
Okay, so let's back this up a bit.
Okay, so wait. Let's see.
I don't know enough about the Balkans. That's what I'm discovering.
Yes,
I'm quite
like,
confused right now. I know where the Carpathians are.
Hold on, let me check.
Looking through
an
paper,
entry.
looking for Balkans. I don't know.
We could always go to the library. That would be a good place to learn about. If we really want to know the politics, that would be the place to go. However, I would also say at this point, we don't know who shot.
No, but we could across the street. Do we know which street it's across?
We just know it's across the street from the hotel. Are you looking at?
I'm looking at the map. It's either 70 Southwest or 31 Southwest, probably.
Would we like to go look across the street from the hotel?
They might be able to give us an idea of who was there shooting.
Because I do have an entry for 31 Southwest.
Yeah, sure. Let's
Sure.
go.
I think, yeah, I like that idea.
Let's go look.
Okay, let me...
It's the Anarchists Headquarters.
Would be.
Okay, so let me put on the right list of things we've checked out. Yee. There we go. 31 Southwest. All right, here we go. 31 Southwest. Right after leaving the Cosmopolitan Hotel, we cross the Vauxhall Bridge Road and wind up facing a neighborhood of apartments. Wiggins stops in front of the building and turns to the hotel across the street. The general's room is on the 3rd floor, says Wiggins, as he points at the window, shattered by the impacts of the shots. Let's go look at the corresponding apartment. The shots must have come from there. The street is noisy and active, so it's not surprising that no one noticed the gunshots. We're stopped at the building by the doorman. Can I help you, sir? We'd like to see the person living on the 3rd floor on the side of the street, if you please, Wiggins says in his most deferential voice. Apartment 3C? It's empty. It used to belong to Mrs. McCrum, but she died in a terrible accident 3 days ago. She was run over by a carriage. Terrible, such a nice woman. You're some of her friends? No, we didn't know her. We believe that there was someone in her apartment not even 15 minutes ago. Oh, no, sir. I know if someone had gone in. You have the keys? Yes, sir. It's very important. The police will be here any time now. Could you last check? The police? Very well, sir. The doorman leads us through the hall to the lift's iron cage with floral motif adorn the gates. The lift slowly brings us up to the 3rd floor. Then the doorman leads us to a door decorated with a gilded 3C. He pulls a key ring from his pocket. Let's see, which key was it again? Before he has time to find the key, Wiggins turns the door's handle, which opens the door noiselessly. That door should have been locked, he exclaims. Yes, answers Wiggins. We would like to take a look. Without waiting for an answer, Wiggins enters the apartment and heads straight for the window. The window is open. Near it is a table on which lies a gun wrapped in a cover. Wiggins examines the gun closely. The shooter probably used that cover to muffle the sound, he explains, which was lucky for the general. It must have skewed his shot. Wiggins removes the gun from its wrapping. A musket, says Wiggins as he removes the charger. Apparently, there was only one charger with 3 bullets. Look, the wheelchair, shouts the doorman. What? The wheelchair. A young man came in on a wheelchair about an hour ago. He said he was a friend of Major Watkins, who lives in 4B. He had that red cover over his knees. He said that one of his legs was broken. That's how he was able to bring in the gun, says Wiggins. I'm afraid that Major Watkins' alleged visitor has fled on both his legs. What did he look like? He was young, not even 30 years old. His skin was light and he had blonde hair with a thick accent, maybe Russian. As he was sitting, I can't tell you how tall he was.
All right. So the Russians shot the general. The general is in the hotel. The countess is having an affair with Jennings. The casket had the bones of the woman. Jennings killed the count. How it was planned was they got the old secretary out of town with a fake job offer.
Yeah.
I find no complaints. I fear we are not complete enough.
We don't know, we know that it was, we don't really know what they killed him with or how that happened, right?
So we need more about the planning of the killing.
I would think so.
Well, hold on. Let me look at the questions again. Who killed him? We think it was Jennings. I'm not...
We haven't talked to Jennings.
We haven't found him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's guilty. I mean, not guilty. It's
can't find him
suspicious.
because he ran away.
We suspect him.
A Russian accent. I mean, someone check me on my math. Is a Russian accent similar to Transylvanian? Would a doorman confuse the two?
A Russian.
It doesn't matter because the two parties that were involved were German and Russian.
Yeah,
according to my
the Balkans.
accent is going to be more Hungarian.
Okay. Because here's my thinking. What if the killer
Hungarian,
is the
Romanian.
same?
Oh, the young
Same
man.
person.
Yeah.
So Jennings is not actually the killer. Jennings is just a pawn or something.
What does
Right.
Jennings look like?
We don't
Do we
have a
know?
description for him yet.
Maybe that was Jennings.
We don't know where he's at. We haven't been able to find him.
But he killed some
But
poor
see,
Mrs.
the
McCrum.
Countess is German. So, and the general and the Count are opponents currently.
Now, but they
So
were.
it makes
They
sense
were.
that if the Russians are trying to kill the general, then it makes sense that the Germans were trying to kill the Count.
Although, Jen, you were saying that they were allies once.
They were allies before, and he said, there may be some third party that's enemies of us both.
Right. Yeah, he said they shared enemies.
So we could be still missing something.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, this is where it gets kind of interesting. Do we want to keep digging? Because we think we know who killed him. We have a general rough plan. We know what the coffin did contain. We don't know the Countess's secret. We know where the general was. We have a half answer on who shot the general, and we think we have a half answer on where General Peckham's grandfather's remains are.
We do still have the Frank Tatum lead.
We do. We have the wheelchair lead, if we could figure out something about wheelchairs.
There's a thing in the newspaper. I found it.
In the newspaper.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, improved cell. It's on the 16th, September 16th.
You knew that before you said anything, didn't you?
Who?
I'd already found it. I had it up
No.
for you.
Oh.
No, I was like,
But I mean, it tells the name of the manufacturer, so we could go see if somebody purchased or something. So that would be
Yeah.
Gregory and Co. at 79 Oxford Street, London
Some
Northwest.
blonde Russian that was in there. Yeah.
79 what?
79 Oxford Street, London Northwest is what the newspaper article says.
Yep.
Northwest, 79 Northwest. Wheelchair Company. I sure hope Holmes didn't skip all of these steps.
I'm
Oh,
sure
I'm
he
sure
did.
he did.
Sherlock Holmes skipped every step.
Well, but here's the thing. I remembered an ad for a wheelchair is the kind of thing Holmes would say. Because it was
But we still couldn't have done that any sooner because you can only do that after you hear about the wheelchair. So
Yeah.
So how would he have gotten to he would have gone to Jardines first.
Yeah.
Then he would have gone to the hotel. Then he would have
Yeah.
gone to the wheelchair. I'm guessing that was Holmes's route.
yeah.
We better get the extra credits right. Okay. The exhibition room at Gregory and Company is vast and filled with a large assortment of wheelchairs, hospital beds, and other accessories for amputees, invalids, or other handicapped people. A young salesman walks up to us. Can I help you? Yes. You can tell us if a young man bought a wheelchair not long ago. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you about that. You see, explains Wiggins, my grandfather needs a wheelchair, and he met that charming young man with a thick foreign accent who had a chair adapted to my grandfather's needs. I didn't see the chair myself, and I don't know what it looks like. God, Wiggins is smooth. I see, says the salesman. Let me check. And again, all you got to do is tell him you're going to buy something, and people will do anything for you.
True story.
Yeah. Yeah.
My grandfather did that to some poor kid one time. He called to sell my grandfather insurance, and my grandfather kept that kid on the phone for 4 hours. Not just hey, chat, but shop talk. Well, what's the rate on that? Well, tell me about the profit earning on that. Well, wait, I want more of a diversified mutual fund. What about that? And at the end of the 4 hours, he said, you know what? You should call tomorrow. This was a lot of fun. I haven't had a chance to talk shop in ages since I retired.
You forgot about the part where he put the phone down and went to use the bathroom.
Oh, that's right. He did. Yeah, he went to the bathroom at one point too, and he didn't buy anything. He just liked talking shop.
Awesome.
My grandpa was a very unique and amazing dude. Okay, back to work. He heads over the counter and leaves to a stack of papers. I rented a wheelchair to Mr. P. Brown. I remember that he had a German accent. I remember thinking that it was a strange name for a foreigner, Brown. He came in to pick it up? No, we delivered it to him. I clearly recall that he also said it was for his grandfather. Where did you deliver it? To 4 Batman Row EC. But how is that? Very well. Would you prepare a chair of the same model? My grandfather will be picking it up. Very well, sir, says the beaming salesman. And what is your grandfather's name? Holmes. Sherlock Holmes.
Oh.
Do we keep running this lead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because this guy has a German accent,
Yeah,
and the other guy had a Russian accent.
So are the Germans and the Russians working together?
Somebody just doesn't know their accents.
That's
Or
my
that was
theory.
the other, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. 4 EC.
And just so you all know, there's no P. Brown listed in the directory.
Of course not.
Probably an alias.
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, see, if we hadn't checked and then we said the guy was Russian, then we would have been wrong. So it's good.
Well, again, Wiggins is smart. A foreign accent, which then prompts him to say, well, it could be this, it could be that. We're looking for a young man, says Wiggins to Mrs. Clayton, the elderly landlady of the badly maintained apartments of Batman Row. By the way, as a point of clarity, Batman in this context probably refers to an officer's valet. The term Batman does not necessarily refer to...
I'm Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
It does now.
But that was the common name for the valets to officers in the British Army. A young man in his 20s with light skin, blonde hair, and a thick Romanian accent.
Romanian?
We're all over the map here.
Russian, German, Romanian, what?
Nobody knows.
They all sound the same. Which, let's be honest, this is London. This isn't exactly, it can be cosmopolitan, but I'm going to forgive them all being a little confused.
Yeah, I get the Romanian and the German, but Russian? No.
That sounds like Peter Brown. He arrived about 15 days ago. Sidebar for those playing at home, about the same time that the good secretary got kicked out of town.
Mm-hmm.
A good boy, rather reserved, not here often. He leaves early in the morning, comes back late at night. Is he here now? I don't know. I heard movement upstairs not long ago. I can lead you to his room. We follow Mrs. Clayton to the top of the stairs and stop in front of the landing's 3 doors. Mr. Brown, Peter? Before her renter has time to answer, she opens the door and leads us into the apartment. It's composed of a single room that contains a bed with a worn mattress, a small wooden table covered with papers, and a wooden cupboard which has seen better days. The room is empty of any occupant. Wiggins opens the cupboard, which reveals bare shelves. It seems you have an apartment available, Mrs. Clayton. He then heads over to the table. Look, he circled all of the articles about the general. Look at that, blurts Mrs. Clayton. A photo of Peter in the newspapers. Wiggins takes the newspaper from Mrs. Clayton's hands. It's the police news from September the 13th. This is Peter Brown? Wiggins asks Wiggins while pointing at one of the images on the first page. Mrs. Clayton agrees with a head motion. Yes, the top one on the left.
Popkin? Popkin.
So, which paper was that?
The police news from the 13th.
Is that Journal 5?
I don't know. It's the police.
Yeah, 5.
And he's one of the Romanian anarchists.
Yeah.
Peter Popkin. He's
Yay, I'm
condemned
so
to
happy.
death by hanging.
Oh, and there's the general.
Oh, yeah.
Right underneath him.
Wait, how do we know that's the general?
That's the name I've been butchering.
Oh.
Slaggy.
I just didn't know. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's why the name is in the print all through this, and I just keep saying the general because I know I'm butchering the daylights out of it, and I just can't bring myself to continue.
Totally fair. I would do the same thing.
Let's see.
So the Romanian anarchists, which would be the ones that would fight against? Hold on.
It says, The verdict of the trial of the Romanian anarchists was rendered as September 8th, with sentencing by the prosecutor of the Republic during a public audience. The 4 anarchists were condemned for the attack on the Fogras courthouse of March 20th, causing many to be wounded and 2 deaths. The prosecutor, Leopold Radek, has condemned Anna Sibin and Sofia Torda to 25 years of jail time, Nikolai Radzevich for a lifetime sentence, and Peter Popkin was condemned in absentia to death by hanging. 4 anarchists were captured the past July after a failed attack against the emperor, which was in a different paper. During this highly publicized trial, Popkin broke out of jail, killing one of his guards. Popkin is well known in London for his activities among the International Socialist Movement. He spent 2 years in our capital from 1895 to 1897 in exile from his native Hungary, returned to the motherland to continue his subversive activities with the goal of reuniting the provinces of Transylvania and Romania. The trial was presided over by the General Szilágyi, to whom the emperor has entrusted the rebel provinces south of Transylvania. The general has used the army's power to subdue the various Slavic nationalities which make up the heterogeneous empire. That part of the world remains a powder keg which awaits nothing more than the proverbial spark to explode. So, that was a revenge kill.
Yep. I would also like to point out that on the back of that newspaper, it says they need to buy a new razor, and that advertisement for the razor is right next to that article. The gym. Go to, yeah.
Ah, look at that. Should have known.
All right.
In a tin case, 5 pence.
With 2 extra blades.
All right. Well, I'm excited that the anarchists are involved.
The things you don't expect to hear.
I did. I said that at the very beginning.
Yes.
We all said that at the very beginning. Let's see. Yeah. And then, yeah. So, and then on the 19th. Oh, wait. That's a different plot against the king. Never mind.
So we're good except for. We know who shot the general.
Popkin,
yeah. We're still not entirely sure about who offed our guy. We did a great job of running down this general plot.
I wonder if Popkin also took down...
Right, because the timing lines up with when the other secretary left, right? Is when Popkin came around.
Yeah.
So that seems too coincidental.
And what was it was intimated by the general himself that it might be a common enemy. And what was the goal of the Albert's political? What was his political goal?
He was backed by the Russians.
To do what?
To get their hands on what's there.
To
have influence. Okay, before it led a rebellion
to
against...
divide Austria-Hungary, and then the general is trying to subdue various Slavic nationalities.
Yes. So yeah, before D'Albert, this is from the general's comments. Before D'Albert led a rebellion against the emperor, we were allies against those who agitated for independence. Those would be the anarchists, right?
Yeah. So the anarchists, I think that Popkin went after both of them.
Okay, there is on the newspaper from September 16th. There's a thing about the assassination of the Australian Empress, and the Russian and German newspapers are both talking about it and talking about it with the anarchists.
Which is the 16th?
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Our special correspondent in Geneva was able to see, whatever that name is,
Lucchini,
the assassin yesterday at the courthouse, and was able to observe that he didn't have the look of a hardened criminal. The theory of accomplices, while not very probable, is not being discounted. There was clearly no preparation. The idea of assassinating the Empress was inspired by the disappearance of Henry of Orleans. Lucchini himself has declared that he did not have any accomplices. The body of the Empress will be returned to Vienna during the day. The Russian and German newspapers are calling for the adoption of severe international measures against the anarchists. So we're seeing them again in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And again dealing with Russia and Germany, but not as a common ally or a common adversary, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, because they don't want if the anarchists displace the emperors, and it all becomes like anarchy is in many ways in this time period another word for democracy.
Mm-hmm.
That would make it a lot harder to like play people off each other when now they have to account to like a Senate or a Congress or a prime minister as opposed to an emperor or a duke or people that you can more easily wine and dine. It's really, current events notwithstanding, it's really hard to wine and dine a Senate or a parliament. Although I guess I could go refill my whiskey and we can really go down that particular road.
But that goes to, I don't know, that goes to show that they could have a common enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then in the 19th paper, there's a whole bunch of stuff about the anarchists and the plot against the Romanian king and the legal proceedings against workers accused in participating in a plot against the Emperor of Austria, and 6 Italians allegedly having a link to the assassination of the Empress of Austria and expelling anarchists from Budapest. So they're kind of all over.
I really think that, the Count, though, I mean, it said the Count was with the general until the Count led a rebellion. So that puts the Count on the side of the anarchists, leaving the general on the side of the emperor.
True.
Then who's their common enemy?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Although that could also be this just could be a political triangle between the anarchists, the Russians, and the Germans.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same person.
True.
Just because the general suggested they had a common enemy doesn't mean that's who killed him.
That's true.
Do we want to go follow up this lead that's been kind of hanging out there as a potential?
Which one?
The night watchman. Yeah, Frank Tatum.
Sure.
Why not?
Maybe he'll say something about a blonde guy who's in his 30s.
Okay.
Maybe.
Or maybe somebody
Also
totally
good.
different. Yeah.
I expect this is going to be a very short tidbit. We've almost read the entire thing.
That doesn't bode well for our score.
We knock on Frank Tatum's door. After a moment, a man with a bulbous nose, blotchy skin, and a hazy look in his eyes opens the door. Yes, it was me who approved the release of that coffin from the Jardine warehouse. Happened early this morning. The sun wasn't even out yet. It was cold enough to freeze the whiskers off a brass monkey. And I was in front of the fire in my hut as usual, wrapped up in something warm on my chair when someone knocked at the window. Excuse me. I turned. It was a driver. I checked to make sure the paperwork handed to me was in order and then opened the gate. It was to Albert's Brougham. Yeah, Brougham. He actually even greeted me with a hand gesture from his door. But frankly, I'd rather have the lady who was with him to pay her respects, if you know what I mean. Let me rephrase that now that I know the intention of the statement. He actually even greeted me with a hand gesture from his door. But frankly, I'd rather have the lady who was with him to pay her respects, if you know what I mean. As cold as it was, she must be prone to chest colds, if you know what I mean. Tatum gives us an obviously sustained wink. You didn't notice anything else? Interrogates Wiggins. No, nothing. But there was that trouble about the warehouse number. I barely had time to warm up again when, I kid you not, this time the Count himself ends up at my doorstep, asking me again where the coffin was precisely. I wanted to make sure I got it right the first time and gave him the warehouse number again. He left immediately without even thanking me, as if he had all of the devils of hell at his heels. Did you see the coffin leave the area? No. I just saw the brougham leave in the fog towards London Bridge. I suppose that the coffin was inside.
Who was driving?
Galbert's driver.
No, I believe... I'm going to double check my... Aha! A brougham is a horse-drawn carriage with a roof, four wheels, and an open driver's seat in front.
Mm-hmm.
So
the driver was in front, and then there was a lady inside.
No, I think it was the Count was driving himself there first thing in the morning to check. I think he was driving.
He said, read it again, because I thought he said it was the driver.
Oh, it was a driver.
And the Count came back later.
And the Count came later.
So does that mean it was the Countess?
Well, the Countess was obviously the looker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she came around. We've already asked her.
And we didn't get anything from her.
How do we find Brian
That's
Jennings?
the thing. That is so obscure. Like, it doesn't necessarily say the Count was in that carriage or who was with the Countess. It was the Count's carriage. Don't know who was in it besides the Countess.
Well, we know there was the driver and the Countess.
Then the Count came back later to double check.
I think the Count was in it with him. The reason I say that was he says it was the Count's, and then he actually even greeted me with a hand gesture. So that
gotcha.
sounds to me like, because it's not like your carriages don't have your logo on them.
Got it.
So to know that it was a brougham. There we go. Brougham.
I've only ever seen the word written, so I have no idea how to.
Well, I have BROO-UM. Brougham.
I think. Yeah. Brougham.
A brougham.
That's the kind of carriage?
It's the kind of carriage, yeah. Horse-drawn carriage with a roof.
BROUGHAM, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Stupid Gaelic.
In my head, it's always been Brougham.
I have so much fun when I mention my character in Red Dead Online's name to people because it's Siobhan with the Gaelic spelling. And like, as often as not, people look and go, I don't know what that says, but it looks like a neat name. And they'll say,
Siobhan.
And I'll say, it's pronounced Siobhan. And then I get like, people will stop and they'll stare and they go, yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it. I'm like, that's kind of how Gaelic works.
Yeah.
Okay. So
why did he bring his wife with him?
Because she was planning.
She didn't know anything about any. She claimed she didn't know anything.
She was planning to murder him.
He's lying.
He wasn't making enough money.
Yeah.
So she was planning to kill him.
Him.
She did the whole thing.
She did it.
Where did his secretary
I told you it's always the wife.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the new secretary got hired because they were having an affair with the Countess, you know?
That was my guess, was the secretary was having an affair with the Countess. But now I think the Countess was a German agent.
Oh, yeah.
She had a German
accent.
Oh,
my God.
She could have been planted.
Yes.
We got it.
All right.
Let's write it down. Let's ring up Holmes. We got this one.
Wait, I just found an article on the Countess de Albert. Hold on. September 19th. On the second page, charity sale to profit for the Society of Balkan Orphans. And it's in honor of the Countess for her unceasing efforts to help the children of her native land.
Okay.
So that goes to show that she clearly is supporting
Yep.
that side.
Yep.
Yeah. That argues in our favor.
Okay. Okay, so let me find... I'm going to find a clean piece of the Jamboard to type on.
Page 7.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so... Let
I
me...
still think we're missing things, but I don't know where to go to find
I
them.
feel like we're pretty
I think we've
close
got
to...
it.
Yeah. But we'll find out that we should have talked to cabbies or the underground criminology or the underground criminal guy.
Uncle Bill gives us a thumbs up. I think he's digging where we are so far.
All right.
I'll take that for the win. All right, so let me put in who we got here.
Uncle Bill who did it.
It was not.
Okay, so who killed the Count? The Countess.
Yeah.
How was it planned?
Fast conspiracy.
A vast conspiracy ranging decades. No, it was the old secretary
Anarchists. Brian Jennings, did he help?
was offered a job,
Yeah.
and the Countess's partner. Oops, I'm off the page.
And Brian Jennings disappeared, so it would salvage the Countess's reputation.
Was hired to
I'm
help.
still convinced that Jennings didn't do it. Do you really see
Maybe the Countess set up another like surprise. Oh, here's a job for you, Jennings, and he went somewhere else.
Yeah,
Maybe that's where he went.
maybe. One of those telegrams that they haven't received at the telegraph office.
From
Yeah.
1650. Then our bonus
I
question.
just don't see the Countess driving a stake into someone's heart. She clubs him in the head.
Maybe she clubbed him in the head.
And drives a
and
stake.
Jennings drove the stake in his heart.
I mean, she was there. We have her placed at but he was still alive. Oh hell.
Yeah, all three of them were there.
Was Jennings there?
Remember, somebody said that he was there all day, and we were like, "Oh, yeah, it was him." Where was that? Who said that?
What about
I feel like they're both involved, but
what about the library? We never or who was Lomax, who we were supposed to get books to? Or somebody that was on one of the back of the newspaper. We never checked
Yeah,
that.
we never talked to him. Maybe we should. Yeah,
we're still
Bert
missing
Farrow.
something. I'm not sure who killed.
Bert Farrow said that Jennings spent the entire afternoon at Customs and at Jardines to ensure that everything was going as planned.
Okay, so we're thinking maybe it was Jennings was the one who actually did the offing, since they were so invested in being sure this was all set up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Countess and Jennings were involved together, but wouldn't you feel like the murderer would skip town and the Countess would still be there?
I feel like Jennings left town to draw attention away from the Countess so that she could keep her place in society because money was important to her. She wouldn't want to lose her status and go underground.
So is this tied at all to the general? Like into the shooting of the general? Are they at all connected?
Two sides of they're opposite sides of the.
Okay.
Yeah. Sort of, but very tenuously,
Okay.
I think.
That's where I'm at too with it. I do think the question of who is still kind of hanging out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, should we go talk to Lomax since that's the note on the back of the paper?
Yeah, we've regretted not checking notes in the past.
Well, and we found the information. We found the ad at least for the razor, which was across from the anarchist article. So
It almost seems like it was kind of like put there as a bit of a like you should, if you happen to see the ad for the razor look around, see if anything
Mhm.
catches your eye,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which works really. Okay,
Now, if
so
we'd been Holmes, we would have looked immediately for the ad for the razor and then got, oh, and we wouldn't have had to do any of the rest of the work.
Sherlock Holmes would be able to look at a single cell in the air and realize, oh wait, it's the person on the other edge of the country I haven't ever met.
Yeah.
okay, so we really want to go check the library, huh? Let's see if that gives us.
I
See if,
think so.
okay.
I feel like we should.
Is the library and Lomax, are those two different places, or are those the same place?
Lomax works at the library. He is
Yeah,
a
let's do
librarian at the library.
Let's do that. I would feel better if we did that.
okay.
Lomax comes up as 5 South W.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same as the library?
That it is.
Okay.
I believe Jen's got the. It is.
Yeah.
Okay. We familiarize ourselves on the history of Transylvania. I feel like I should have a pull down map. You know.
You should.
In antiquity, it was part of the Roman province of Dacia. After the departure of the Romans, the country was a victim of various migrating cultures from throughout Europe. At the beginning of the 11th century, Stephen the First from Hungary
Ishvanikari.
proclaimed himself sovereign of that land, which was then governed by a voivode as a Hungarian province. German settlers arrived under the rule of King Giza II, and then again, so 1141 to 1161, and then again in 1211, when King Andreas II called upon the Teutonic Order. These settlers obtained special privileges and founded many Transylvanian cities. Upon the death of King Louis II in 1526, probably King Louis, the Hungarian crown came back to the Austrian house, and the voivode John Zapolia managed to obtain independence. He and his successors, generally elected by the people, were supported by the Turks against the House of Austria. After the defeat of the Turks in Vienna in 1683, their influence in Transylvania weakened, and in 1699, Leopold I of Austria, who united the country with Hungary in 1691, was proclaimed sovereign of Transylvania. I could be mistaken, but I believe Leopold I knew... Nope, different person. There was a Polish general who was the big one that stopped the Turkish invasion of Europe. And I think it was also Leopold, but that was a Poland. The efforts of the Hungarians to make the region their fourth province and the opposition of the non-Magyar population to the strengthening of ties with Hungary led to conflicts at the beginning of the 19th century, the high point being reached in 1848. I'm going to go back to that one more time. The efforts of the Hungarians to make the region their fourth province and the opposition of the non-Magyar population to the strengthening of ties with Hungary led to conflicts at the beginning of the 19th century, high point being reached in 1848. In 1849, Transylvania was separated from Hungary by imperial decree and became a territory tied to the Austrian crown. But in 1860, Transylvania became an autonomous province with an independent regime with a strong executive power. The Hungarian government did not recognize that change, and Transylvania was once again tied back to Hungary in 1868.
Holy crap.
Transylvania has since then lost all autonomy and has been completely integrated into Hungary. The Magyarization of its principality has methodically continued despite the opposition and discontent of the Saxons and the Romanians. An important revolt, led by the Count d'Albert in 1891, was brutally repressed by General Sandor Vizsla, who put an end to all organized opposition to the Hungarian domination.
Not sure that was helpful.
I don't think that changes any of our answers.
Okay. Let's not count it then.
So I have a question. I'm, still flipping through newspapers. So there is a cryptograph notice and a message for a friend that is in a cryptic message. Should we try to go to the cryptograph office and see what that message is?
Last week.
That was last week? Okay, never mind.
That was insane last week.
Oh my gosh. How long did we spend on
We spent like an hour on that stupid cryptogram just to find out it was just to read out, be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
No, that is not true. It was
lame.
It was crucial.
It was kind of crucial. We should have stumbled onto it about 3 hours before we did.
Yes.
Is what it came down to.
I felt vindicated afterwards because I was like, let's decipher the code. Let's decipher the code.
So the big thing, my takeaway here is that this does confirm that the general had a reason to hate Albert, but it legitimizes the comments earlier about the conflicts throughout the early 19th century between the within the conflicts of who controls Transylvania before it eventually just got wrapped up into Hungary again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still digging the wife as a German agent who's often the agent who is backed by the Russians.
Fun factoid, there is a rock opera about Stephen, the first king of Hungary. In the style of like Phantom of the Opera type rock opera, like just for fun.
Interesting.
Cool.
Talk about your specialized audience.
The only reason I know that is because I have a copy of it on cassette tape from my trip to Hungary. And I saw it. It was really cool. There was a lot of fire.
Nice. See, but we haven't really had anything about the Germans much.
Is there like where's that?
Well, the Germans had possession of Transylvania in the 11th century at one point. And Germany and Austria have been kind of intimately associated throughout throughout history.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you are correct. There's not been a lot of mention of the Germans. Yeah.
Pretty weak connection. I mean, the Countess has the accent and the fundraising, but does that make her a killer?
I don't know, but she doesn't think much of her husband.
What about the German embassy? Would they be able to tell us anything?
Can we go to the German?
Would they give us any? I don't know.
We can.
I'm just trying to look at what else we could figure out for Germany.
I can peek to see if there's anything listed for them without reading it.
We can go to the German embassy. It is at 9 Southwest.
They have nothing for us.
Nothing. Okay.
I think we have as much as we're gonna get.
I feel like this is. I don't know, but I have been wrong.
We're still missing something major. There's not a good motive.
I mean, she said he didn't make enough money, and that they would be enemies, right? If she was a German spy, and that would be motive, right?
And she's a supporter of the Balkans, and he led a revolt.
No, but she's kind of on his side because the Magyars are Hungarians.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not about politics. Maybe it's about money.
Who was Baxter? I see that on the list still. Who was Baxter again? Mr. Baxter?
Oh, he was the guy.
Random dead guy.
It was a red herring, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. So that's not important.
No
wonder I didn't remember.
That was killed. That was back when we thought that it wasn't really the count in the coffin, but we determined it was definitely the count.
I mean, maybe whoever set this all up paid the Countess to be involved, but
Maybe one of the donors to
Normally,
the
in that time,
charity
your
said
husband's
there's
death
more.
does not help you. He's poor. He dies. She has nothing and is a widow. How does that help her?
Mm-hmm.
He's not spending money on
Hoping to go home again.
trying to go home.
But he's also not making any money, and she can't take over his job because she's a woman.
And she doesn't seem to understand how it works either,
But
to be fair.
She has
but
no
maybe
knowledge.
Jennings, maybe she's tied in with Jennings, and someone is bribing her.
Because Jennings could run the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who Jennings really is? Maybe he's the Countess's lover.
Countess and Jennings. I'm just saying, man, there's something there.
Yeah, I think that's
I
legit.
mean, something.
He was the driver. Would be my gut.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of like. I mean, we could check it with. Does Mr. Mahmood have an office?
Not that I could see.
Okay.
So wait, why did the D'Albert want to check where the casket was also? Like so he must not have known that his wife was going to check on it and then came back later?
He got the message to meet, according to somebody. Crap, where was it?
Oh, that's
was
right.
that
He got the
telegram.
telegram that we couldn't find.
The telegram that didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was
He was supposed to meet Jennings, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
So Jennings couldn't have been the
No.
driver, or they came
Right.
separately. I
Yes.
think that he was not in the carriage or in the.
Where did you get the
room.
telegram to meet somebody? Because I thought it was there's a telegram to meet at the office. But that was the Joseph Acree old secretary guy.
Wasn't there another? Was it at the?
I'm looking now to see where we saw that.
Yeah.
Wasn't at the customs office. Okay, at his office. Came by to make sure the delivery was proceeding normally, reassured him. Spent the entire afternoon at the customs office and at Jardine's. Delivery is in the eastern order. A friend of the Count.
Maybe he didn't get a telegram. Didn't he get a telegram to
Where
meet
did
somebody?
Joseph Acree said something. 47 EC.
Yeah.
So I have in my notes. Ah, here it is. Why was he there so early in the morning? Meaning, to tell the truth. Okay, no, wait. So that's fake telegram that was sent to the previous secretary.
Yeah. I
Somewhere.
thought there was another message.
That's the only one that I saw, but I could have missed something.
Yeah, somewhere he got a message to meet. I could have sworn. I must be going crazy now. That he got a message to meet Jennings at something early in the morning. That's why we said let's go check the telegraph office. There's lots of potential telegraphs.
Yeah.
But now I
The
can't.
the
find
two
it.
telegraphs were the one to Joseph Acree that he had a fake job offer, and the one there was someone
To
was
meet
supposed to meet at the office.
Count, to meet the Count somewhere at the.
It was at the dock.
I didn't write down
somewhere.
where he was supposed to be. That was at Joseph Acree's at 47 EC. I didn't write down where he was supposed to meet the Count.
I wrote down he was supposed to meet the Count at the office.
At the office. Okay.
So the day before, reassured him Jennings, his private secretary. Telegraph and customs on Jennings delivered an order, really quite efficient. Busy, probably with the Countess. Okay, so wait a second.
So why was he so invested in making sure everything was okay?
Because it's a lord, and it's his friend,
Yeah.
and there's money.
Mm.
Maybe it was at Peckham's office we heard that.
Maybe.
Because I'm liking Jennings for the murder again.
No, he called Dalbert on the phone and was assured that the delivery would be within 2 to 3 days' time.
He was personally guaranteeing the proper delivery.
Mm-hmm.
So Peckham was being scammed.
Okay, so here's another theory. Jennings was goofing around with the Countess. They were the two that were in the carriage.
Mm-hmm.
The
Maybe
Count
they
figured
did
it out.
together.
What's that?
Yeah, they did it together.
Yeah, the Count figured it
Yeah.
out, and he went down there to see what was to catch them in the act, and ended up dead for it.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But that doesn't explain who got rid of the original secretary. Unless it was straight up a plot between so the planning could have been the secretary. Maybe Jennings and the Countess wanted to get rid of the Count, which is why they lured the secretary out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just wanted to get Jennings hired as a secretary because
So that he could be around
so he could be around more.
But then why did they kill him?
Because they got caught.
because they got caught.
Because the watchman didn't say which direction the Count came from. Oh, no, you're right. He did say
Came
that.
in with the Countess.
That's true. Because he recognized the Count then. Unless it's a case where he was mistaken. It was Jennings and the Countess the first time, and then the Count came along after.
I think they were planning on getting rid of him in the whole, because that's why you had to get rid of the secretary, is to lure the Count to the office.
Okay.
Because otherwise the secretary would have done it.
Okay.
I think the Countess and Jennings were planning to kill the Count
For multiple reasons, so that they could have their
so they could be together
and
because
they
she was
would
mad at him.
continue to thwart their goals and blah blah blah.
So is the Countess's secret the affair or the German agent?
German agent,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't
Well,
know.
well, what if, I don't know, because if the motive was that they just got caught, or did they actually plan it all?
It
Did they
seems
get caught, or did they
awful
plan it
lot
all?
It seems like an awful lot of planning for a.
Maybe they were just being paid. They were being paid by the enemies of the Count to get rid of him. And then she would get money and Jennings. If they
Jennings is the prize.
they were, hey, we don't know. You didn't see him. He could be really a great.
You could.
I still think we've got a pretty good answer here.
But that would give the Countess the money that she wants if they
Yeah.
paid her to off the Count.
Or was she just paid by the German government and gets to go back to Germany and have lots of money?
Okay.
I don't want to say it's the German government. I just want to say it's the enemy of the Count, because we really haven't implicated the German government in anything.
True.
Well, okay. But is that the secret? She's allied with the enemies of the Count?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here goes. More or less on schedule, too.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. See how we did. We find Holmes sitting in the middle of his living room at 221B Baker Street. His legs are crossed, and he's surrounded by newspaper clippings. He holds in his hand a map of Europe. A thick cloud of cigarette smoke stagnates over his head, and a half bottle of whiskey is slowly finishing decanting close at hand. Come in, Wiggins, and sit down. Let's see if you've solved this little enigma. We settle in our chairs as Holmes is looking through our piles of papers and pulls out a whiskey glass from it. He pours himself a glass, takes a sip, and talks to us. I hope you're not too disappointed in not having found a vampire, Wiggins, Holmes says as he smiles. I'm still not sure I found the Count's murderer, Holmes. He had so many enemies. Holmes cuts him off before he finished his sentence. Wiggins, how many times must I repeat? You do not start an investigation by looking for a motive. Just like a bloodhound can be confused by multiple scents, a detective can find himself enmeshed in an can become enmeshed in confusing sets of motives. Look at the clues. They will lead you down the right path, and the path will then lead you to the motive. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Answers Wiggins like a schoolboy. What does the murder weapon tell us? Asks Holmes in a learned tone. All eyes turn to Wiggins. The Marlin spike? Wiggins' rhetorical question doesn't even get Holmes' approbation. Well, it could have been used so that we wouldn't be able to work back to the murderer. Holmes seems a little impressed by the answer of his favorite student. He gets up and lights a cigarette and begins his class. No, Wiggins, it's a weapon of opportunity. It tells us that the crime probably took place in the shipping warehouse where the coffin was stored, and that the murderer worked with whatever they had at hand. No assassin would use a marlin spike as a weapon, not even a sailor. The other clue is the probable area of the crime, the warehouse, as well as its contents, the coffin. The customs office told us that the coffin was the only cargo belonging to the Count in the warehouse. It's at this point, Wiggins, we can start establishing a motive. Was there anything in the coffin? Something fragile, considering the care used to have it placed in a cabinet and on the hold? Someone worked hard to set up that stratagem. Exhuming bones and getting them shipped? There must be a valid reason. A quick examination of new papers gives us a possible motive. The statue of Hermes, stolen in Greece.
All that.
They had to find a way to get it out of the country.
First, damn it.
I've told you numerous times that the press was a valuable tool if you know how to use it. If the power of the police is restricted to the borders of the country, criminals, for one, don't hesitate to work internationally. The contraband angle should have leapt to your eyes from the start. The maritime agent found dead not far from the warehouse, shipping slip in hand. These are enough clues to stop even Lestrade from going down the wrong path.
What is that?
We never found that.
But Holmes, says Wiggins, desperately seeking an honorable issue to this verbal joust. What about the anarchists? Dalbert's political enemies. Anarchists kill for political reasons. They have no interest in killing someone without laying claim to it. And what about the clues involving the Countess and her lover, Alexei Meshkov?
Oh my God, it's even worse than last week.
The weapon, Wiggins. It makes no sense to
boy.
kill one's rival with such a weapon. Why turn their death into such a spectacle? No, Wiggins, even if the Countess and Meshkov were planning a misdeed, someone caught them up short. The case is actually quite simple. The statue stolen in Greece was placed in the coffin and shipped in first class going to London, discreetly watched over during the travel by the Stone couple. On its arrival, Jennings, quite provincially hired by Count Dalbert in the weeks following the theft, makes sure the coffin goes through customs with no issues. The morning of the crime, Jennings and the Stones take the company's brougham and go recover their loot from the Jardine warehouse.
So it was the Stones in the carriage.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What they don't know, however, is that Dalbert, surprised by his secretary's zeal, suspects something is off, decides to go look around the warehouse as soon as possible in order to check, which is why Frank Tatum, the employee on guard, sees the Count's brougham go by, and then a few minutes later, the Count himself.
I knew he wasn't in there.
He didn't know, however, the Count wasn't on board the carriage as he believed. The Count rushes to the warehouse, discovers his secretary and two accomplices in the middle of opening the coffin to remove the statue. At that point, Jennings and the Cummins have no options left. They kill the Count, throw his body in the coffin, and toss it in the Thames, hoping to gain some time. Then they load the statue onto the brougham and flee. Thankfully for us, the coffin didn't go very far. All that's left now is finding Jennings' accomplices. That could be harder than you think, my dear Wiggins. By this time, I imagine that Jennings and the Stones, who probably used false identities, must be quite far away. We should ask Lestrade to have train stations and ports watched. After all, it's not like they can just turn into bats. He did this with 4 leads.
Oh my God.
How many did you take you in?
None of which we followed, right? That's the
Like,
problem. We
I
didn't
did
follow
find
any of those leads.
The
Custom-
article
He went to the customs
About-
office. He went to Jardine. He went to Dalbert's company. And then he talked to the guard, Tatum.
What? But how?
None of those. I don't know.
Didn't we talk to all those people?
We
Yep.
didn't. We talked to all those people. We didn't come across the
We
dead
didn't talk to
guy.
the Stones?
We didn't know where they were.
The thing that, okay, here's how we got burned.
Where's the dead guy?
The statue.
Here's how we got burned.
The statue killed us.
I take most of the blame for this. When we talked to Tatum, and he said it was, well, I guess apparently when you own a Brom, you put big stickers on the side that says who it belongs to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that was a thing. I assumed that if he said, well, I knew it was the Count's, it would be because he saw the Count in it. Like, I don't assume that when someone pulls up in a car that, I just assume that it's so-and-so's car.
It's like the license plate number.
Mhm.
Like,
I kind of assumed that though, but that's not your fault because I really assumed it's the Count's carriage because it has his crest on the door.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or it's flying his colors
It's
or
something
taking
that I would have assumed.
Yeah.
I think our biggest problem was the
with
statue.
the statue. And the
Yeah,
statues, I found the article.
Smuggling.
It's in that the police news that we put the front page for.
But
on the
instead,
back.
we got obsessed with the Anarchists, which was super my big push for the Anarchists. That was,
Apparently, it's a 5-foot tall chryselephantine statue of Hermes, covered in plates of ivory and gold, and is an inestimable value, and part of the heritage that Greece is attempting to preserve.
Okay. So if we had known that, we were
Yes.
instead of mentioning the smuggling aspect
We
that
did go through
the Countess wanted. We weren't that far off. If we had had that statue, we would have been pretty good.
If we could
Right.
have tied it to the fact that was a new port like that was at that new port.
Yeah.
Which you brought up, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, we were right about who killed him.
Sort of.
Sure.
Sort of.
No, it wasn't Jennings it wasn't Jennings?
It was Jennings and the couple known as Mr. and Mrs. Stones. And they actually split that 20 points each.
Okay. Okay.
The murder
Well, we
wasn't
got-
planned. But based on everything there, I'm going to go with giving us the full 30 points for how the murder happened. Because
Because we said it was a surprise.
Mhm.
yeah. And he stumbled onto them there, and
Yeah.
it was a crime of passion kind of thing, a quick cover up. So I think we got that part right. What was in the coffin? I'm still going to give us 10. It was worth 30 to mention the statue, but it also did contain the remains of a 30-year-old basket weaver from 1650. I'm sorry. We get those points.
Okay.
I like it. I'll take them.
What was the
Right.
secret of the Countess? Not that she was allied with enemies of the Count.
No.
Nope.
So where did they get? How?
Alexei Meshkov?
Yes. Where does he even?
Does
come
that have
in?
to do with the razor? Because the razor, it has an address that we never went and looked at. There's an address on the razor place.
What's
Like,
the,
what did
Holmes
we
didn't
miss?
Go there either.
What's the address on the razor blade?
I don't know.
I can look real quick.
It is. Let's see. Where
Right.
was
Where
it?
did
Here you go.
I just had it.
46 EC.
EC. 46 EC. 46 EC. Nope. Nothing
Nope,
happens
nothing.
there.
how the heck did he come up with that?
What did we miss?
Is it in the paper somewhere that she's
Maybe if I saw the name when I was turning pages, I don't remember who it was.
Meshkov. M-E.
Yeah, but there was. I mean, there's a reference in here.
34
to that.
Southwest.
34 Southwest. Do you want me to go to? Why? What's there?
That's Alexei Meshkov's house.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell us how we even
But yeah, how would we get there?
No, I know. I just want to know if that backtracks, we can see how we might have gotten there.
34 Southeast.
Southwest.
Southwest. Yes. Somewhere there was a reference to the friend of the Countess.
Huh.
So yeah, at some point, well, though there's nothing here that says, "Oh yes, we were doing it." What's 39 Southwest?
Huh?
Did anything happen at 39 Southwest?
Isn't that what I said? 39 Southwest?
I thought you said 34.
Come on. Meshkov.
Because Fitch, however we came across Lady Fitch, would probably have gotten us everything we needed about that.
Oh, you're right. 34 Southwest. Lady Fitch. It was in the charity auction thing.
There we go.
Oh,
That's
with
how
the
we would have gotten
Countess?
the boyfriend.
All right.
Yeah, she's
You know,
supposed.
and I thought very briefly that we should talk to Lady Fitch, and then I was like, nah.
Okay, and then we get all the extra credit right,
That's
Woohoo!
good.
except for that.
That makes up for everything else, right?
So 50, 60. Well, you know what? Our score out of 100 is 90.
What?
Until we take into account that we went to
Well,
like 15 stops.
yeah. Yeah, so Holmes did this in 4 stops, so that effectively adds 20 to our score, which puts us at 110. We made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 stops.
15? No.
Oh boy.
I had 15. You always count the first place as a stop. That's not a stop.
Okay, did you count the library as a stop?
Yes.
Okay, so 15 stops at 5 points each is 75.
Ouch.
Lowering our score.
Wait,
to-
but we don't have to count the 4 that he went to.
Right, but I already added those back in.
Oh.
Lowering our score to 35 out of 100.
35.
Oh. We're getting worse instead of better. This is not good.
Well,
No,
because
and I felt really good about what we did.
I did too. I felt really good about it.
I felt really strong
Terrible.
at the beginning, and then. Okay,
Yeah.
you know,
The Balkan Orphans
Thoroughly
charity
read the
was organized by Lady Evelyn Fitch.
we must stop. This one we needed to stop and like thoroughly read the paper.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Well, I mean, I think
Well,
part
why
of it.
would we even think that the Hermes statue was in the?
It came from the same place that new port was at.
Right.
Yeah, I guess.
And we did think about smuggling, but then
We did, but they were like,
we
what are
didn't
they going to smuggle?
investigate. We just left it.
Well, and
So-
they could have hidden the statue in the dirt.
Apparently, they could.
Apparently.
And it's interesting because we didn't really want to pursue the stones because we felt like, well, there's nothing like. Here's what I don't like about Holmes' solution. It feels a lot like, well, obviously this is what happened. Well, can you prove any of it? Not really.
Right.
And we
Sure.
tend
They
to.
were worried about the weather. I mean,
So they said.
so they said, but I
So
mean,
they said.
what makes that suspicious?
Right. And did he interview the Stones?
No.
No.
Okay, so that's rubbish. Like, I'm so sorry. You can't just assume the Stones were involved when you have nothing other than they were on the same ship.
Yeah.
Was there a way to talk to them? Because we
No.
couldn't figure out how to track them down.
No.
No,
There's you just
not
had
that I was aware of.
you just had to
No,
figure
that's-
out that the statue was on the was there, and then the Stones were involved in it, and they were the ones that were in the Brougham with the with Jenny.
feel like this one's
needs
the
to
reason.
add another place on to Holmes because there's no way he could prove that they were in the carriage or involved. How did he know they were in the carriage? Because he's
The
Holmes.
same way he knew to go to a jewelry shop for a watch instead of a watchmaker shop. Because that's how.
Exactly.
Because he's Sherlock Holmes.
Right. And how did they even? Okay, no, they were with the Countess. That's how they got the carriage. Okay, I'll buy that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it
but
was,
there's no way Holmes knew they were in the carriage and we didn't.
well, because he just assumed.
Right.
As he does, and we tend, and that's the thing too. The way I kind of reconcile this, we run around and try and verify our theories, whereas he tends to be, here's the smallest number of steps I can possibly take to say I've seen all these things, and I think part of that is because we're modern Americans or Canadians in some cases, we tend to hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Like, we want to say we have some proof behind what we're about to accuse. And I think that the Holmesian method often is written on well, I could piece it all together, see?
It's intuitive, not evidence-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're teachers. We like evidence-based things.
Yeah. So the whole Stone subplot was like I'm even not even if we had just said it had been Jennings, I would have said we should get full credit for who killed him.
Yeah.
I would have made that case, but
There's nothing solid to tie the Stones to the case at all, other than they were the only passengers on the ship. I mean, does it explain anything in the solution?
No, you get what you get. In the solution, it just said they are the...
Right.
Well, like sometimes he explains himself. Like he says, because of this, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 and this led me to that.
Well, that's
in this case, like really the only relevant female in this case was the Countess. So assuming that the Countess was with him only makes sense.
Yeah, and the playing up the good look. Like, we didn't get a hint that the Stones were good looking. And it is...
We didn't get anything about them. It just said that they were a couple on the ship.
Right. It is true that Mr. Horologist does work out of a family-run jewelry shop. And that is true. People do that. The issue in our last case was that the watch was engraved with a manufacturer logo that did not match the local watchmakers. It matched a local jewelry shop. And it never occurred to us to think that if you were... It just didn't occur to us to go that direction.
Yeah, that you wouldn't look for the manufacturer of a watch at a watchmaker shop.
Yeah. But
Oh well.
in hindsight, we didn't do that bad considering.
You needed to have Mr. Horologist for last week, I guess.
Somebody to say, well, did you look at the jewelry stores for the possible use of those initials?
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing we did last week. We're like, oh, let's track down the watch. It's the initials RN. And we looked at the watchmakers. There's no RNs. And then we went, okay, that's a dead end lead.
Well, that's a dead end. Must be a red herring.
Must be a red herring. Okay, I'm going to head to bed because all of us are facing students tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Although one of
Yay!
us gets to go have a casual evening, while the other two of us are going to be like, how fast can I fall asleep?
Oh, I'm going to sleep too. I go to sleep super early. That's why my streams don't last past 10 o'clock my time.
This is past my and I'm gonna spend tomorrow just staring at students take a test. So it's gonna be hard to stay awake.
I hear you. I think I'm going to send you guys off. Given our choices in the Julia, Uncle Bill, we get it. We screwed up. We get it. We get it.
Oh.
You've made your point. I'm going to send us off to Ravnia,
Helped us.
who has just come back into streaming after a bit of a break. She's a lot of fun. Her streams are always good content. So I'm going to send you over to her for the evening. Thank you again, by the way, Sarah, for hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks for inviting me.
To have you as part of this. Hopefully you can come back and be a regular again as your schedule allows. We
Yeah,
didn't scare
this
you
was
off
fun.
too much. And then thank you again, Liz, for joining us. She is becoming a regular irregular, which has been a lot of fun. It's good hanging out with you. And then Jenny, thank you so much for tweeting up with me and tolerating my streams. Anyone want to say anything before we call it a night?
It was fun.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. This was really fun.
Cool.
Yeah,
Then-
I'm glad you had fun.
I love games. I'm all for it.
Oh, we've got plans. We will see everybody again next week on Monday night for another mystery. I'm going to be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock, which is happy hour in the Eastern time zone. Happy hour at the Old Timer Tavern. We're talking about double DMs is our topic. And then Wednesday night is the next episode of the Candlekeep Mysteries for Dungeons and Dragons. So all kinds of good stuff come up. Schedules down below. Thank you. And please, please, please stay safe.